Protector has determined that the Gauteng crime prevention wardens were established without any legal mandate and should not have been deployed to do any policing work.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Aye, 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 aye. 8 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Breakfast. Are you in Rustenburg or Randburg? Bryanston or Bryan Park? Kempton Park? Protea Glen? It doesn't matter. Welcome one, welcome all. My name is Bongani Bingwa, and I'm pleased as punch to be in your company this morning. I'm not alone, of course. As always, I've got my colleagues. Amuramila, good morning to you. We made it to Thursday. Hey, where did the week go?
Yeah, I'm glad we made it to Thursday. It's 5 to Friday.
Sounds like
What's
she's been
wrong?
scrolling
I
through
just
it.
I just got some terrible news, but I'll
sorry.
attend to it. That's why you shouldn't look at your phone before the show
Sorry.
starts.
Because I thought, did I call her Mporamila?
No.
Did I call her?
Yeah, and so I'm just, my mind is really, really puzzled. But I'm glad it's a Friday.
All right. It's
No,
not a
it's a
Friday.
Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Do you want to go make coffee?
Can this week just
Upstairs.
end?
Can it just end?
Muteo Kharipe also here with business news and so much more. Good morning.
Morning, Bongs.
How are you?
I'm
It's a
well.
Thursday. You made it through the week.
No. It's been a good week for me. I think it was quite fast. It's been one of those weeks for me that everything worked out that I needed to work out. So
Ever feel like the week or time is just spinning
yeah,
and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning? And no matter what you do to try to hold steady. Remember the merry-go-round when we were kids? And it would spin and spin and spin and spin, and you would hold on for dear life. Do you know who I think, whose world is spinning? It's the Premier of Gauteng. I'm about to tell you why.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
On our menu today, we catch up with Ground Up, the investigative outfit who do incredible investigative work, community-based stories, no paywall, no advertising. They rely solely on donations. We're going to be looking at the closing arguments in that Judge Mbenenge Sexual Harassment Tribunal. Remember that one? We may have taken our eyes off that one for a couple of weeks, but it certainly matters. They've got this incredible story about gold, guns, and gangs. The battle for Zambia's riches. Daniel Steyn will be joining us to explain all of that. Our big interview this morning focuses on teaching. Teachers are leaving the profession. And one of the things that's been highlighted by a new study coming out of Stellenbosch University is all around mental health. You've just heard stories, and I don't know if you've seen the horrific videos of school bullying that have been happening and doing the rounds on social media just this week. Teachers are often caught in the crossfire of that with little preparation, training, support, or resources to deal with it. And many are saying it's just too much. They wanted to empower young minds, to shape young minds for the future, and they're dealing with all sorts of horrors in the classroom. We'll speak to the senior researcher behind that one. And, of course, we will catch up with the Craddock 4 inquest. Lukhanyo Talata has been on this incredible mission for justice for his father to find out how Fort Kalata and his comrades were killed and why. And just before 9, we'll speak to the fantastic Loiso Gola.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
12 after 6. You've been watching, of course, all the different commissions, the Madlanga Commission. Well, let me not say commissions, but the processes to uncover the rot in our law enforcement. Do you remember when General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said that Amapanyaza, for example, were established illegally? I remember speaking to people like Mark Haywood as early as 2023, was it, when they were established? I did a story for Carte Blanche where we made it clear this thing was not legal. They tried, of course, to retrospectively fit it into there'll be peace officers. What specifically that meant nobody was quite clear. Then they thought they'd absorb them into the traffic police. Not even Bekitele, as a police minister, would ratify this thing. The Justice Department certainly couldn't. And yesterday, of course, the public protector coming out to say this thing was illegal from the get-go. And what did the Premier do yesterday? Hastily convened a press briefing to say we're going to redeploy Amapanyaza, who should never have been in police keeping efforts to begin with. But I want to remind you of the kinds of things our Premier can sometimes promise when he is taken, by electioneering fever. Remember when he promised that after last year's general election, people would have free access to private hospitals, even if they weren't on medical aid? Let me remind you, and then I'm going to tell you about his latest gimmick.
One is what is currently happening in the Madlanga Commission. We have one general says the structure is illegal. We have another general that says the structure is illegal.
No. That's not quite the clip I wanted to play. That is not quite the clip I wanted to play. I will come back to that because we don't yet have that clip. But this is when he was promising that we would essentially get free medical help in private clinics, even if we didn't have medical aid. All right, we don't seem to have that one just yet. So we'll come back to that one with the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. But what he's now doing is he is calling on the community at large, people with children, in particular teenagers, who may have addiction struggles. And he says they're ready to absorb as many as 15,000. They want to assess 15,000 people struggling with substance abuse, and they're going to do this on a single day, this Saturday. He even went so far as to say they'll obviously have doctors and nurses at various facilities who will make sure that if these people need to go to rehab, that's where they'll be sent. And then he says, you only need to give us your address, and we'll even come and fetch them to take them to rehab. Whether we have that number of facilities, trained workers, doctors, social workers, to be able to determine whether these people need this kind of help or not has yet to be determined. We'll come back to that.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02.
All right, it is 6:15. I've got a question for you. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? Amo? If you could have a superpower, what superpower would you choose?
To be able to go into the future and come back.
To be able to go into the future and come back.
Yeah.
Would you really want that superpower? What if you don't like the future?
It's okay. I mean, it's a superpower. I don't have control over it. All right. I can't control what I do with the future, but I at least know what's coming.
You'd change it.
I wouldn't.
You know
I
you
don't
would.
have the power to do that.
You know you would. You know you would.
Yeah, but I would like to see.
If for example, in the future, you see that somebody that you love gets into a car accident driving this or that particular vehicle, wouldn't you make sure they never buy it?
They never buy the car, or they never travel on the road, or
you see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would warn them that I don't think you should be taking this route. But
you try and change it.
That's the superpower I'd like to have.
Don't argue with my superpower. Muteo, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation, right?
Yeah, being able to get to one place. From one place to another in an instant?
Very quickly. The only reason I'd want to have that is to do the school run and make it for my 7:30 bulletin here at work. Because I sometimes think I'm losing out on that. But another one would be being able to speak a language as soon as I land in every country that I want to go to.
Right, being able to understand and speak any language in the world, that would be amazing. All right, send us a WhatsApp voice note. We'll explain why we're asking this question. Would you want super strength? Would you want super speed? Right? Would you want invulnerability, being able to resist physical harm, injury, or any extreme conditions so you can, live in the desert and not be roasted in the Sahara? You can be in the Antarctica desert on that continent and not freeze. How about telekinesis? Telekinesis is being able to move or manipulate objects with your mind.
That sounds like you.
Do you think I would want to
Yeah.
have that? Mind control, influencing the thoughts, actions, or decisions of others. Right? Would you want that kind of power? Invisibility? My thing with invisibility, someone is trying to shoot Muteo and I'm standing in front of him and they don't know I'm there.
But they're not always shooting bongs. They're sometimes talking some juicy things that you'd like to know.
Shape-shifting. Right? Being able to present as somebody else. And people believe you. And you get secrets. Hey? Imagine, Muteo, I show up as somebody else and you spew all the things you think about me.
Oh no, wait a minute. You know
And
which
it's
other
me.
power?
You'd quickly change into yourself to deal with
It's-
that person.
Pretty much like being able to read minds. I'd actually like that superpower.
Oh, I don't want to know what people are thinking.
Mm.
Weather manipulation, perhaps? Right? Weather manipulation. What superpower would you like to have? Let us know.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Muteo Kharipe, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning, looking at all your current monthly expenses and necessities, if you got a 5,000 Rand bump in your pay next month, where is that money going?
School fees. Not even to me. School fees.
You know, off air, I was speaking to Alma, and that's the first thing she said without thinking.
School fees.
Well, you guys are both right because, you know, school fees is above inflation at the moment. I think 6%
We know.
for the year, and you
We
probably
know.
can feel it.
We know.
So that's the one thing I want to
We know. Give us a little more.
You want
Give
more
us more
for
than
yourselves.
5,000. Give us a little more than 5,000. How about 50? Then
Not
we'd be-
taking care of all your problems, just one.
702.
Weather.
19 after 6. What conditions can you expect on this Thursday? Temperatures in Pretoria rising to 28 degrees, 27 in Bombela, and Johannesburg and Vereeniging will peak at 27 degrees. East London 35 degrees today, and 22 for Cape Town.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance if you don't ask them for 500 Rand. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is just as we come out of the Eldorado Park area between the N12 exit and the Deep Kloof interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the Mike 1 North. Peak time pressure piling up here between Boysons and Carr Street while traveling on the N3 North. Do remember those roadworks right near the Baklu interchange bound to cause delays. Please be on the lookout there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like the lady on her way to work, listening to a love song on the radio. She's recreating the music video in her mind with herself as the leading lady. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a concert on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
A sinkhole on the R21 near Olifantsfontein is being repaired, but this isn't just about restoring the road. Sunral's 154 million rand project is opening the door to new opportunities for the local community, from training and mentorship for SMMEs to jobs for unskilled labor and real experience for young engineers. This project is repairing more than a road, it's building futures. Work starts mid-September 2025. Sunral, building South Africa through better roads.
Calling all golf pros. Hollywood Bets invites you to step onto the green. Tee up, take a swing, and enjoy glorious golf action from electrifying competitions and thrilling live tournaments. Get ready to conquer the fairway and chase epic fortunes. Ready to master the odds and experience your crowning moment? Bet now on all the excitement and prepare to make your hole-in-one shot to sensational success. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Before a masterpiece takes shape, there's a single line that starts it all, until every curve and every angle reflects the clarity of a single vision. And only then does inspiration take its final form. The all-new Audi A5, designed to inspire. Starting from $14,499 per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest dealer for more. T's and C's apply.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Good morning, Bongs. Premier Panyaza gets away with a lot of wrong things because of his media charm. These Amapanyaza were established unlawfully at a huge cost to the taxpayer.
Hey, morning, Bongs. Obren Faslaras. Bongani, forget about superpower. Upanyaza Lusufi, our premier, is God sent, according to the words of the billionaire, Mr. Motsepe. Panyaza is God sent. That's why he fumigated our schools. And what else did he do? He bought Moroga swallows. He bought Asma Panyazas. That man is God sent. One day he's going to be the president. And in his mind, he thinks he's the president already. Big ups to Panyaza, God sent Lusufi.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. What you need to know at this hour is that, of course, he's under fire after the public protector declared that his Amapanyaza crime prevention project was set up illegally, something many of us have said repeatedly over a number of years now. Yesterday, that public protector report says the Gauteng Department of Community Safety hired and deployed over 6,000 wardens back in 2023 without the proper legal framework, and therefore breaking the Constitution. He was speaking at Jabulani Mall just last week. It's a story in The Citizen this morning. This ambitious plan to assess 15,000 people struggling with substance abuse in a single day. So this is meant to be happening on the 27th of October, where he has said, bring all these kids who are addicts and alcoholics, leave them with me. I will rehabilitate them and transform their lives into what they are meant to be. So all around Gauteng, in Soweto, in Katlehong, in Tembisa, in Lenasia, in Vanderbijl Park, he wants to have doctors and nurses who are going to be there to assess people struggling with substance abuse. But of course, experts are already pointing out, do you have the number of facilities? It's not a simple once-off appointment to determine whether somebody needs, for example, to be hospitalized in an environment where they're in the rehab, or whether perhaps they can do outpatient treatment. Do you have the social workers to do this? How are you going to get the medical histories of 15,000 people in one setting? It's yet another one of his wild promises like this one.
After E29 Zagami, after Sifotini ANC Lomteto Uti, you can go to any hospital of your choice. Private hospital, or is a public hospital, or is a private clinic, ungene uhambanje go any private hospital and get the best experts to come and treat you. After treating you, the government will pay that bill free of charge.
He said that last year before the elections, and has it come true? So is it yet another one of the Premier's promises today? Now, speaking about what will happen today, that ad hoc committee continuing, of course, looking into those allegations made by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. We've got Begitele in the hot seat today. You've heard 4 days of testimony by Senzo Mkhunu. It's now time for the man in the hat. I will be watching my television. I don't think I want to miss that one. Gaza is facing a health disaster that could last for generations. These are the words of the World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. Since the ceasefire with Hamas began on October the 10th, Israel has now allowed more aid into Gaza, but it's still not enough to rebuild the devastated healthcare system. Adam Gilchrist will give us more details about that in The World View. After more than 10 years of planning, the long-awaited Ria Vaya Phase 1CA bus route connecting Alexandra to Sandton officially launches today. The city of Joburg confirming the start of this important service. 68 buses due to expand to 141 next year. So the idea is to be able to transport residents of Alex to Sandton CBD. And guess who's turning 49 today? Ryan Reynolds, the Canadian actor who shot to Hollywood fame with hits like Deadpool as a superhero. Hence, we're asking you this morning, what superpower would you have liked to have? He shares his birthday with Emilia Clarke. You remember her, of course. Daenerys Stormborn, mother of dragons, Khaleesi, right? the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, as she would have preferred. Daenerys Targaryen was the character played by Emilia Clarke in that series Game of Thrones. She was born in 1986 and turns 39 today.
702.
The newspapers.
Your superpower, Sfiso Zulu, of course, is that voice of yours.
Really?
Ooh. Now, Sfiso Zulu, if you didn't have that voice, what superpower would you like to have?
Well, Bongani, is there a superpower that I can get where I get an income without having to work?
No.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The superpower gods refuse that because then we wouldn't hear that voice.
No, I'm kidding. I would like to know what people are thinking. As you sit
Really?
right there, I would like to know what you're thinking
Ooh,
because
no.
I know we always have thoughts.
No, I don't want to
Every
know what
second.
people are thinking.
I would love to know
No.
what people are thinking.
I'd rather
I'm
give
very
them thoughts.
Right?
Right?
Okay.
Yes, I want to have the power to give them thoughts.
No, I want to know what they're thinking.
For example, I want to give you the thought to tell us what's in the newspapers this morning.
This morning, Bongani, the Yorkshire in the UK. Oh, I want to ask a question before I get into the story. Which city would you recommend people to see, like in a country? Say, for instance, somebody is visiting a country and you say you have to go to the city. For instance, somebody comes to
Tokyo.
South Africa and
Japan.
go to Pretoria.
I'd say go see Tokyo, Japan.
Why?
You want to be blown away. There are so many reasons. Firstly, from the food, but just how a city functions where there isn't a single resident who would drop a piece of paper randomly.
Yeah.
Japanese people, I mean, it's not unique to Tokyo. It's
Right.
all around Japan, but you see it most notably in a huge city like Tokyo.
Right.
They will walk for kilometers and kilometers with trash. They will never just drop
it on the road.
on the pavement.
Yeah.
Right down to how they are quiet on their trains. Nobody's allowed to talk or not talk, but have a phone conversation.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
rude
yeah.
to have a phone conversation. To things like you can't tip in Tokyo.
Oh, really?
It's considered rude to tip.
At a restaurant?
At a restaurant.
Anyway.
No, it's considered
Oh,
rude.
wow.
Because you're saying that the service is meant to be so good. It's not, it's standard for the service to be good. So when you tip, it's as if they've done something that they, do you know what I mean? As if
Yeah.
the service normally isn't good.
Right. I see. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Well, the Yorkshire in the UK today is talking about how, with a defiant spirit, one of its cities, which is called Hull, I think Hull, has been named by the National Geographic magazine as one of the 25 top places to visit next year. It's in the UK in Yorkshire. And yeah, so they're basically saying that they've made upgrades in its maritime museum and 2 historical ships will reopen to visitors next year following
Hull.
a Hull. Hull.
Why would I want to go to Hull?
That's what the
Is
national.
there any South African city
That's-
mentioned?
No. That's what the
Hull.
National Geographic magazine is recommending, one of 25 places. And they're basically saying that a late poet, Philip Larkin, had written the city off as frightful, a chilly dump, and smelling of fish. And he would be so pleased to see that it has achieved this victory. And one of the other places that they recommend are Rio de Janeiro in Brazil
Yes.
and Vancouver in Canada.
Rio, absolutely. Hull sounds dull.
EWN Business.
Looking at your current monthly expenses, Mateo, you want to know, would a 5,000 Rand bump solve any specific problem? A bigger place to stay? Rates and taxes? More groceries? More coffee? School fees?
School fees
What
is
prompts
right
the
up
question?
there, isn't it? Well, inflation may be lower, but many South Africans will tell you the cost of living is still quite high. Stats SA says if you're feeling the financial pinch, you're not crazy. Prices are still quite high, especially for necessities. The latest data from Stats SA shows that the annual consumer price inflation rose slightly from 3.3% to 3.4% in September year on year. For the roofs over our heads, annual rentals increased by 3.2%, up from 3% in June. Townhouse rentals saw the largest annual rise, increasing from 4.1% to 5.4%. Motor vehicles are also up 1.4% more expensive than last year. The average residential price per kilowatt hour of electricity also increased 134% since 2016. So, yeah, keeping the lights on is not very easy. Groceries are also a tight spot for many households. Meat inflation reaching a 7-year high of 11.7%. Although month-on-month increases for beef products have slowed, price levels are still quite high because of that foot and mouth disease that we experienced in the year. Stewing beef recording a rise of 32%. Other meat categories also rising: pork and lamb. Chicken frozen pieces rising from 4.4% to 5%. So, yeah, a lot of, juggling has to be done in that budget.
Let's talk about the rise or the fall of the rand.
Falling this morning, 17 Rand 43 against the US dollar, 20 Rand 19 cents against the euro, and 23 Rand 24 cents against the British pound. The price of gold at $4,087 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,615. Brent crude at $64.42 a barrel. More business after 7.
What does all of that have to do with the price of eggs? Apparently everything. Let's go straight to the news desk now. Jacob Zuma must pay back the money. Swisa Zulu.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. The DA says it will oppose any attempt by the former president to avoid paying back his debt of nearly 29 million rand to the state. The High Court yesterday ruled that Zuma must reimburse the state for the legal cost it paid in his long-running arms deal corruption case. And between 2005 and 2019, the state covered Zuma's legal fees, even though the charges against him were in his personal capacity. DA spokesperson Willie Okamp says Zuma should accept the ruling, close the matter, and pay back the money.
Since 2018, Mr. Zuma has evaded repaying millions in legal fees that the state should not have paid on his behalf in the first place. Mr. Zuma has benefited from this 28.9 million rand in taxpayer money over the past 7 years. In every way possible, the DA continues to fight for the rule of law, protection of taxpayer money, and the rooting out of state capture.
A man accused of killing 5 people in Bronkhorstspruit will make his first appearance in court today. The victims died when 2 gunmen stormed a tavern in Zitobeni earlier this month and opened fire, leaving 5 other patrons critically injured. One of the suspects was arrested this week after police found him in the area where the shooting happened. He faces 5 counts of murder and 6 counts of attempted murder. Tanduluhle Ngobo reports.
According to police, 5 of the victims who were admitted to hospital have since been discharged, while the 6th is still receiving treatment. The October 5 incident that occurred at Qeduma Tavern in Zitobeni sent shockwaves in the community and the country at large. Witnesses reported that 2 men known by locals entered the tavern and demanded that one of the patrons hand over his licensed firearm. They say a shot went off, and when the patrons ran outside, the suspects fired randomly, resulting in the deaths of 5 people and the injury of several others. Police are still on the hunt for the second suspect and are confident they will make an arrest soon. Tanduluhle Ngobo, Eyewitness News.
A survivor of a deadly shooting in Westbury, which left 2 teenagers dead, has accused police of colluding with gangs. Carl Mento says following Wednesday's attack, officers have been falsely linking him and his friends to a gang known as the Varados. The 19-year-old and 4 of his friends survived the shooting, which police believe was gang-related. Mento says officers claim that they are part of a gang because they were found in a suspected drug den smoking hubbly.
So Firetown, they work with us people. Firetown, they also gangsters, Varados and fast guns, all of them. They work with gangsters. They collect money by drug lords as people. So Firetown.
And Cuba has arrested a suspected Chinese fentanyl kingpin who escaped from custody in Mexico and is also wanted by the U.S. The trafficker Shi Dongzhang, known by the alias Brother Wang, is alleged to have worked closely with Mexican drug cartels designated foreign terrorist organizations by Washington. It's not clear if the suspect will be deported from Cuba back to Mexico or a formal extradition process needs to be undertaken. Shi Dongzhang was held in a prison in Mexico City, awaiting a hearing for his extradition to the U.S., where a warrant has been issued for his arrest on money laundering charges. He was granted house arrest, from which he escaped in July. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 11 and 13 degrees, peaking at highs between 27 and 28.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the Makwa North. It's right near the Crown interchange. It's causing heavy delays from Boyson's Road. Do expect about a 30-minute hold-up along this route. While traveling on the N3 North, we've got delays between the Elands interchange and Van Buren Road.
The top story this hour, the DA says it will oppose any attempt by the former President Jacob Zuma to avoid repaying his debts of nearly 29 million rand to the state.
Feel the rhythm of summer at the Old Mutual Music in the Gardens, featuring Mikasa and Jazeel Brothers, live on Saturday, 25 October at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden. Experience soulful sounds, sunshine, and good vibes in one of Joburg's most beautiful settings. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. Proudly presented by Old Mutual, 702 and Breakout Events.
Hey, sorry for the voice note, but listen, I was there. I saw the receipt. Like, literally, that thing was long. It was giving scroll vibes and everything. Tommy, with this new Discount Better Rewards card, you get 10% off instantly. But like instantly, on over 140 brands. So look, I don't want to be like dramatic or anything, but your Discount till slip never looked better. Okay, bye.
Dreaming of a tropical escape? World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar, and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Give me the power to prevent and to solve crime. Like, let me just be able to pick up when people are planning to assassinate someone so that I can do something. Take that information to the authorities. Yeah, no, I'd love to. Or a difficult crime to crack. Let me be there to just tell them to say, okay, so and so did it. You just go and investigate and give it some meat. Yeah, I would love to do that. I hate crime. No.
Yo, morning Bongani and the team. Hope you guys are good. Sure, if I could have a superpower, in fact, I would love to have two. Right? The first one would be the once-off ability to make myself 100 million rand. And the second one, to have an ability to heal any kind of disease that can attack a human body.
Bongani, I would love to have a long hand, like a very long hand, where I can actually smack somebody. I'm sorry, I'm not violent. You know, sometimes when you're driving and you listen to music, you're driving, you're not even over speeding and all that, and somebody starts in front of you. I mean, I wish I can just bang on his head or her head, like, stop it. I wish I can have that long hand.
What superpower would you like to have? Imagine having the ability to be able to see and hear into rooms where you are not present. So you stay exactly where you are, but if there's a discussion about you, having the ability to just be a fly on the wall, as it were, right? Would you want that power? Cindy Paluta?
Absolutely not, because
you don't want to know what people really think.
No, I don't want to know what people think about me, because I've had moments where some people have perhaps commented on Instagrams or TikToks, or I have had a suspicion that somebody was talking about me and then had it confirmed. And I think that if I was in the room where they were talking about me, I think it would be more mentally devastating. There's stuff that you're just not meant to hear.
Yeah.
And why would you need that?
Yeah.
I just want to teleport. Like, I'm really sick and tired of being in my car. Like, and I know I'm supposed to be grateful that I've got a car, but like just the little frustrations of having to get past the scooters and the I-10s and the like managing of the traffic and the person the jelly tots and the person that goes 20 in the right-hand lane and is like, well, I'm going the speed limit. And then you can't go in the left lane because you know the taxi's going to stop.
Yeah.
But you've got to get your child to where they need to be within the next 15 minutes. Like,
So
Can I teleport?
Teleporting seems to be the popular one. That's what Africa Melane said. He says, I love to travel. I don't like traveling.
Oh,
I like being
flying.
there.
Oh.
He's like, I like getting there and enjoying whatever city or place I'm visiting. Don't talk to me about how to get there.
And now imagine when you're out and about, right, on a Saturday
Yeah.
night, Bongani, and you're like, right now I could just be at home in my bed. Click.
There you are.
There you are.
Mateo says he also wants to teleport so then he can do the school run and then just boom, pop up and do his bulletin.
Oh, no, Mateo, let me tell you something, darling. I've taken a few mornings off where I've had to do the school run. And sometimes the Lord gives you work at a specific time of day because you would not be good within that space. You would not be good at the school run.
EWN Sport.
I absolutely miss the school run. I think it's the one regret about our hours, and that being able to do the show at this hour is missing out on the morning school run in particular. I miss that. But I tell you what, Orlando Pirates showed some of their superpowers yesterday.
They did. In the Betway Premiership, they beat Polokwane 1-0, Moremi scoring in the 6th minute to move the Bucks to 3rd on the table. Here's your coach, Abdeslam Wadu.
We have dominated most of the game. We could have scored more goals. Let's say maybe four goals. We had a little bit of pressure because since we didn't score the second goal, the opponent was pushing, adding some more attacking players. But I have to congratulate the boys. They had a great character, great personality to keep this clean sheet again. It was not an easy game, and that's it.
Kaizer Chiefs goalless with Siwelele and Stellenbosch beat Arrows 4-3. De Jong with 2 goals for the second one of the season. Banyana drew 1-1 with DR Congo in a Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Moklakwanas with the goal. Assistant coach Tina Mbuli.
The aim was to get an away goal, if possible 2. And I think we tried first half. A little bit disappointed with our second round performance because I think we allowed them to more in our box, more in our half. So second half we were playing with a little bit of pressure, a little bit casually because I felt like maybe players thought that it was easy to coming out from the back, especially from the back, with no pressure from their strikers.
The return leg is Tuesday in Johannesburg. In the Champions League, Liverpool came from a goal down to beat Frankfurt 5-1. Real Madrid got a 1-0 win over Juventus. Chelsea cruised to a 5-1 win over Ajax. Bayern were merciless in a 4-0 win over Bruges. Sporting beat Marseille 2-1. Spurs goalless with Monaco. Proteas are in control of the second test with Pakistan. Did you see this yesterday?
So I can I boast? Can I drop names?
Go for it.
I was chatting to KG's dad yesterday.
Who's KG?
KG Rabada.
KG start the clock.
Kagiso Rabada.
Okay.
And I was saying to him, was there some batting clinic, that we didn't hear about?
Hysterical.
Wasn't he absolutely amazing?
I loved it because for a while he knows he's good, right? He knows he's good. He knows he's great. But I think for a while he's lost a bit of the appetite.
Yeah.
And I think this might be the thing because then afterwards you saw footage of him in the field, like getting the crowd going.
Yeah.
And
He was just happy to be there.
Just enjoying
it,
because
yeah.
we love watching the Proteas play, right? But we
Yeah.
forget that every single day, 365 days a
Yeah.
year, no matter what you are, you're the sportsman that's got to show up. So while we're all in our offices, they're out hitting balls.
Yeah.
So you can lose the passion for what you do,
Yeah.
right? So it was beautiful yesterday. So what we're talking about is the Proteas ended up making 404 yesterday, and we didn't think that was going to happen.
No.
And it was with Sami and Rabada, who got a 98-run partnership.
We were talking about just denting it below 100.
Right.
As much as you can, below that psychological barrier of 100
Right.
as a lead for the Pakistan team.
So with Sami was unbeaten on 89, and Rabada put in an innings of 71 off 61. And when I tweeted it, somebody replied underneath, Rabada, ? Like, have you typed the wrong name?
For me, it was the pace, right, at which he did it, but also some of his defensive shots.
No, he
that
was great.
straight bat, that elbow going up. It was really amazing to see.
Like the all-rounder Rabada,
Yeah.
yes. So coming back to the middle this morning will be Pakistan on 94 for 4, a lead of only 23 runs.
So it's 23 for 4, effectively.
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
At the Women's Cricket World Cup, Australia is the only unbeaten team after easily beating England by 6 wickets. The Aussies chasing down 245 with Sutherland's unbeaten 104. Gardner's unbeaten 98 to top the table ahead of Saturday's last group game with the Proteas. And Makazola Mapimpi has been scratched off the standby list for the Springboks end of year tour. He's been banned for 5 weeks for a dangerous tackle on Ulster fullback Mike Lowry in the URC, for which he was shown a red card. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Germiston. Germiston was established in the early days of the gold rush after two prospectors, John Jack and August Simmer, discovered gold. They named the new town, next to the Jack and Simmer mine, after Jack's father's farm in Scotland, which was called Germiston. Notable people from Germiston include the golfer Ernie Els, politician Helen Suzman, and Nobel Medicine Prize winner Dr. Sidney Brenner. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Germiston.
Ready to sell your vehicle? We Buy Cars goes above and beyond to make it simple, quick and rewarding. Sell your car, bike, boat or bakkie for a great price with instant payment. Trading in or buying next? Explore over 12,000 vehicles. Plus get flexible finance and cover options at webuycars.co.za or at any branch. We Buy Cars, the best way to buy or sell.
Did you know that all residential complexes are legally required to register with the Community Scheme Ombud Service, or CSOS? Registration is easy and it's free. All registered schemes can access a quick and affordable alternative dispute resolution body and can also learn more about the rights and responsibilities of people living within a community scheme. We'd like to appeal to all unregistered community schemes to register with the CSOS today. Visit csos.org.za to find out more.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Bongani, I'm really excited to play the Whiz Quiz. My name is Jordan. I'm 13 years old in Glenvester. I'm really excited to play the Whiz Quiz.
We can't wait to give you 10,000 Rand. Jordan, will you take it away?
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
Flight Centre's Big Red Sale is back, 21 October to 14 November. Save up to 50% on tours across Europe, India and Morocco, up to 35% on cruises to the Med and Caribbean. Save big on Thailand stays, 55% off the Maldives and 50% off Mauritius. Plus, kids stay and eat free on selected family deals. Hurry, book now at flightcentre.co.za or your nearest Flight Centre store. T's and C's apply. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
Insurance claims are stressful enough. Well, fortunately, the OUTsurance Business Insurance allows you, when you claim, your excess as a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. For medical specialities like dental, physiotherapy, surgical and others, OUTsurance Business Insurance are trusted experts in insuring your business. Get more out of your business insurance. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Psst. Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be? The man who introduces himself and people say, I know.
The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated.
Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and Vitalamin.co.za.
Vitalamin.
Don't get older, get better.
EWN Traffic.
Let's catch up with the roads. It's 10 to 7. The M1 North, a parking lot. Amo?
It is indeed, Bongani. This is as you travel towards the Car Street exit. As a result, we've got an accident reported right near the Crown turn off, and it's causing massive queues, so please be on the lookout there. And if you're heading towards the Joburg CBD at this particular moment, it will take you about 40 minutes to just get into the CBD. While traveling on the N12 West, we've got another accident scene right near Atlas Road. Delays coming out of Snake Road. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hosted in Africa for the first time, this year's G20 summit focuses on solidarity, equality and sustainability. News and insights from the summit. The G20 Correspondence Desk is brought to you by RMB and FNB. Guided by the spirit of Ubuntu, RMB and FNB empower communities. RMB and FNB are divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
At Premier Hotels and Resorts, business travelers staying alone enjoy a complimentary drink every night of their stay. So, whatever your tipple, it's on the house at any of our 24 hotels and resorts nationwide.
Book today at premierhotels.co.za.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Give away some cash, shall we? Today we're playing with Jordan, who's 13 years old, wants to become a mechanical engineer. Goes to Glen Vista High. I love these kids who want to be engineers. Jordan?
Good morning.
How are you, Jordan?
I'm alright, and yourself?
You're right, thank you. That's good to know. I hope you're ready. Hope you've taken all your deep breaths.
Yes, I am.
Here we go.
Yes.
KG, start the clock. What is half of 50?
25.
Correct. Spell the word shortly.
SHORTLY.
Correct. True or false? A baby goat is called a kid.
A baby goat is called a
Kid. True or false?
false.
It's true. Which is an Olympic sport? Netball or gymnastics?
Netball.
Gymnastics. Which city is known as the Big Apple?
New York.
Correct. What color is Dora the Explorer's backpack?
Purple.
Correct. What is the boiling point of water at sea level in degrees Celsius?
180 degrees.
100. What type of fish is Nemo? Clownfish or garfish?
Plougfish.
Clownfish. True or false? Half of... Can't complete the question. And I'm looking at the judges, and the judges say, Jordan, you walk away with 400 Rand. 4 correct answers is what you got for this morning's Whiz Quiz.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? Brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand is up for grabs. 1,000 Rand for the answer. WhatsApp us your name and the answer based on anything you heard in the show that might be of interest to 072 702 1702. And then we'll give 2,000 Rand to a person who can formulate a question that gets us to your answer. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongani, you said Gauteng Premier's world is spinning. Not only him, Ntumi as well. Whoa, yesterday. Actually, from last week in J. Yeah, his world has been spinning. Now, today, we're going to witness Kele. His world will be spinning as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. Take care. Taru Diplus.
Morning, Tapongs and team. This is Amapanyaza story, man. No. I don't know if I'm being otherwise, but to me, it shows that it was evidently something that Panyaza Lesofi put together quickly before the elections, I think, obviously, to garner votes. I could be wrong. And, I will take it if I'm told that I am wrong. Spending Amapanyaza and training them to be traffic cops.
Hi, good morning, Bongani and the team. My name is Sam from Soweto, Proteatland. I'm a little bit worried about Amapanyaza because these people, they've been, writing opening cases at the police station, writing statement. They've been arresting other people. And what's going to happen legally with those people that have been arrested by Amapanyaza and those cases that were opened by Amapanyaza? When they are in at charge office, they are the ones that are in charge, writing the statement on behalf of the police officers. And they are using the blue light brigade. Now, I'm a little bit worried. Can someone please explain? Thanks, Sam from Johannesburg.
Do you remember the case where we interviewed a young man who was beaten to within an inch of his life by Amapanyaza. Do you remember he needed extensive surgery? And thank goodness for the help that he received, right? At the Pretoria Urology Hospital. Do you remember? He needed extensive surgery, beaten to a pulp by Amapanyaza. And he wouldn't be the only case. Can those people now sue the Premier for essentially setting his thugs on them? They surely have the right to. Do you remember? This young man was beaten to... He was in his home. He was in his home and they turned his home upside down, supposedly looking for drugs. And they beat him to the point where he required extensive surgery. And because he came on this show, he got assistance by the urology hospital in Pretoria. And it now turns out the people who beat him had no legal standing to even be there, questioning him in the way we heard. Have a listen to the Premier yesterday announcing that these Amapanyaza will now be absorbed into the Gauteng Provincial Traffic Office Unit.
One is what is currently happening in the Madlanga Commission. We have one general says the structure is illegal. We have another general that says the structure is legal. So we have a provincial unit as a province. That's why you see them here in uniform. This is our unit that is legitimate, that have a constitutional mandate. Why not migrate the wardens into this unit that is doing the work already, rather than argue with people on the legitimacy and other things? So today we are announcing that they will cease to function in that format and be trained to join this unit, which is still under the control of the provincial government.
Doesn't sound like somebody who's very contrite, does it? Why argue with people? We'll just do this. We didn't bother to find out if we could do what we did in the first place. But okay, fine, we're here now. We'll just do it this way. Bese. And that's it. That's it.
7:02. Coming up, the big interview.
All right, we had promised you a conversation with Ground Up, and for a reason we don't yet know, or that's unclear to us, they're not able to join us. And so that's why we played you some of those clips, more of your responses. And of course, we'll delve back into that ad hoc committee looking at allegations of all kinds of interference as far as law enforcement is concerned. Up next, a new report says teachers are taking early retirement because being in the classroom is simply too overwhelming for their mental health. And we'll get a refresher on that Craddock 4 inquest. Lukhanyo Talata has been on a quest for justice for his father. He'll tell us how he feels about what's been unfolding lately.
This is EWN.
Parties say the disbandment of Amapanyaza was long overdue, and fees must fall. Students reflect on 10 years since their fight for free education at the union buildings. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Political parties in Gauteng have slammed the Crime Prevention Wardens program, saying it has been a waste of money and was illegally constituted. At a media briefing yesterday, the Gauteng government announced it would be disbanding the program in a phased process over the next 36 months. It says qualifying wardens will be retrained as traffic police officers, while those who fail the program will be redeployed to other departments where they will provide security services. The EFF in Gauteng says this has been a long time coming, while Actionist says Michael Beaumont says resources from the program should go towards strengthening the country's already established law enforcement agencies.
It's not a surprise. I think at the end of the day we all called it what it was. It was an election gimmick that was produced before the elections and designed to use the budget for service delivery of the provincial government in order to capture support for the ANC ahead of that national and provincial elections. It didn't work.
A report by the Public Protector has determined that the wardens were established without any legal mandate and should not have been deployed to do any policing work. Tabiso Goba reports.
The Public Protector's report says after the Gauteng Crime Prevention Wardens were formed in 2023, the then MEC for Community Safety, Faith Mazibuko, made an application to the Justice Minister for them to be officially recognized as peace officers. However, this application was rejected as the Justice Ministry found there was no legal mandate for the establishment of the units. The report says there is currently no legislation that empowers the provincial government to perform any policing duties. Following the rejection, the Justice Ministry and the Gauteng government reached an agreement in which the wardens would be recognized as provincial traffic officers. The Public Protector says despite that, the wardens were still deployed to police operations like Operation Shanela, which constituted impropriety and maladministration by the Gauteng government. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Allegations of possible interference and deliberate delays of a ballistic report in the murder case of Vereniging engineer Armand Swart have been presented before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. This as the investigating officer in the case testified yesterday partially in camera with only her voice broadcast to conceal her identity over safety concerns. Witness B outlined how she felt the detective assigned to compile the ballistic report based on the Silverton lab in Pretoria omitted certain linkages to high-profile figures. This resulted in the ballistic evidence being sent to the SAPS's KZN Ballistic Lab for a second opinion. Oren Singh reports.
The team investigating the assassination of Vereniging engineer Armand Swart were allegedly told by the detective compiling the ballistics report that the weapons had linkages to high-profile figures and cases of cash in transits. However, when the team received the actual report, it contained nothing related to high-profile individuals or CITs, raising questions. Witness B told the Madlanga Commission that they raised their concerns around possible interference at the Silverton Ballistics Lab in Pretoria and were instructed to send the evidence to KZN's ballistic lab in Amanzimtoti for a second opinion. She claims when they attempted to get an original copy of the Silverton ballistics report from the system, it was deleted.
He gave us a date that it was deleted on the 6th of December. That's all he could tell us. He said, I can't tell you any further than that.
Controversial businessman Katiso Katie Molefe was arrested by the team on December 6th last year in connection with Swart's murder. Witness B will resume her testimony this morning. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
The mother of a grade 10 Milnerton High School pupil says she fears sending her son back to the school after he was assaulted by a group of older boys. A video of the attack, which has gone viral on social media, shows the 16-year-old beaten in a belt or with a belt and a pipe as well as a large stick. 8 grade 11 pupils from the school have since been suspended. Carlo Peterson reports.
The mother of the boy being assaulted in the video says she's still in disbelief about the incident. Speaking from Milnerton Police Station, where her son was making a statement yesterday, she lamented the school suspension of the alleged perpetrators.
I'm not happy with the suspension as well because the kids are going to go back to school. Our kids are not safety.
She says she's been deeply hurt by the experience and wants justice for her son.
I want the law to take its course. I just want the law to take its course because it's a serious case. They can't assault the kids. And they big boys, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds.
The boy's mother says she's also disappointed in the school for what she has described as a lack of communication on the matter. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And as today marks a decade since students from various universities gathered at the union buildings fighting for free education, some have remembered how what was meant to be a peaceful demonstration degenerated to violent chaos. In October 2015, Fees Must Fall protests erupted in parts of the country with students demanding free education and an end to rising university tuition fees. But some who were at the union buildings on the day that former President Jacob Zuma was meant to address them, they've remembered the day as disastrous. Homotso Modise spoke to some of them.
The 23rd of October 2015 was a day anticipated by students who'd spent months using protests and demonstrations to pressure President Jacob Zuma to yield to the demand of free education. Students had travelled from institutions across the country to be part of the historic event as Zuma was expected to address the large group. Simon Machet, who was studying at UNISA, was one of them.
Despite coming from different institutions, there was an element of unity. There was
a sense of pride. There was a sense of dignity in what it is we were trying to achieve.
But what started as a peaceful demonstration fast became a scene of violent clashes between students and police. Amla Munaching, a student leader from the University of Pretoria, has recalled how the students responded.
Despite police shooting at us, we're able to reconvene and reinforce to go back.
While President Jacob Zuma did not address the crowd as expected, he announced from within the union buildings that there would not be an increase in tuition fees in 2016. Khomuza Modise, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,090.94 an ounce. The rand is at 17.44 to the dollar, 23.26 to the pound, 20.22 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.27 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the N1 North. This is in the Sharon Lee area, right near Malibongwe Drive. It's causing delays already while traveling in Rivonia. Heavy delays along Rivonia Road approaching the N1 exit. There's also queuing traffic along Bowling Avenue. This is just as you approach Vetkoppen Road. Faulty traffic lights are causing these hectic delays, so please be on the lookout there.
And in your sport live test cricket, Pakistan 94-4 trailing the Proteas by 23 on day 4. Banyana held 1-1 by DR Congo in their WAFCON qualifier. Orlando Pirates and Stellenbosch get premiership wins, while Chiefs were held by Sibalele. And Bok coach Rassie Rasmus without 2 players who've been banned ahead of the end-of-year tour.
A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EW and the Sawa. Political parties in Gauteng have slammed the Crime Prevention Wardens program, saying it has been a waste of money and was illegally constituted.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes after 7 o'clock, I raised the issue of Amapanyaza, the people who were victims of their assaults as they supposedly were doing policing work. If that turns out to be illegal, what happens to all those victims? You may remember once we interviewed a young man who was beaten to a pulp by Amapanyaza. The story was so harrowing, the CEO of the Pretoria Urology Hospital phoned the show and offered to assist. And they did an amazing job, absolutely free of charge, to try and repair this man's body and indeed his life. Only to now find out that all along, as the Premier was warned, he did not have the legal standing to constitute Amapanyaza as they were known. And now he just tells us, no, there's a provincial unit to which they'll be absorbed. Not even Beketele would sanction this. The Justice Department wouldn't sanction this. This whole let's turn them into traffic officers was a retrofit, because even from the get-go, he was told this is illegal. So what happens now? We just move on because, this is Sada.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's take you back to that ad hoc committee in Parliament looking at allegations of interference and criminality within our law enforcement. We'll start with Action SA's Darylene James expressing alarm over the suspended Police Minister Senzo Mkunu's admission that the SAPs have a number of weaknesses.
As things stand this morning, I'm under immense pressure because of the 7 children that were gunned down yesterday in Westbury. This past weekend, we've had over 30 people mass shootings on the Cape Flats. You keep on mentioning the Cape Flats as reason, as your concern for the disbandment of the PKTT, but to date, there's been absolutely no response to those areas, which is a shame. You are meant to be sitting here and reaffirming and giving South Africans confidence in restoring public trust. Instead, in your statement yesterday, you said that we are weak as SAPs and we are unable to respond. That coming from a minister is concerning. That coming from a minister is extremely concerning. I want to ask you, you place great emphasis
Can I respond
on the...
to that?
No, sir. You place great emphasis on the national PKTT and the budget. You're saying that this was a national political killing star scheme.
I mean, she went on She really, and she had absolutely every right to do so. Remember the story we were telling you about 24 hours ago from Westbury. It was in that context that she's saying, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then I think for me, the real nub was when she asked him, this is Action SA's Darylene James, saying, what if we looked at your phone, Mr. Mkhunu? What would your phone tell us about the conversations you have been having?
If data were to be extracted from your phone, can you confirm that there would be no evidence of communication regarding the work of the Gauteng Counterintelligence Unit or its investigations into drug cartels?
Well, if I get your question clearly, is that there would be no link between myself and drug cartels?
On your phone, there would be no communication on your phone, Minister.
Between me and drug cartels?
There would be no evidence of communication on your phone if data were to be extracted from your phone.
There would be no communication with drug cartels. I want to be clear.
This is taking into my time. Minister, if data were to be extracted from your phone...
Honorable James, look.
Did you hear the question? You want to play it again, KG? Just listen to her question and listen to how he tries to change it as he answers it. Have a listen.
If data were to be extracted from your phone, can you confirm that there would be no evidence of communication regarding the work of the Gauteng Counterintelligence Unit or its investigations into drug cartels?
Well, if I get your question clearly, is that there would be no link between myself and drug cartels?
On your phone, there would be no communication on your phone, Minister.
Between me and drug cartels?
There would be no evidence of communication on your phone if data were to be extracted from your phone.
There would be no communication with drug cartels. I want to be clear.
This is taking into my time. Minister,
that's not what she asked him. She says, if we were to look at your phone, would there be any communication about crime intelligence's investigations into drug cartels? Are you talking about this stuff? Because remember, that's the assertion Mkhwanazi made. He says, just to be clear, you're saying there'd be no link between me and drug cartels. There'd be no communication between me and drug. That's not what she asked him. That is not what she asked him.
7:02. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. That crash in Sharon Lee. Amo?
It's still there, Bongani. It's causing heavy delays towards Malibongwe Drive. Please be on the lookout there. Malibongwe Drive in itself, it's heavily backed up between President Fouché Drive and Republic Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling in Rivonia, we've got heavy traffic volumes on Rivonia Road between 12th Avenue and the N1. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North in the Kelvin area. This is between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. That's due to roadworks that are taking place along this route. Please be on the lookout and expect about a 20-minute hold up along the route. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 94. You dropped your phone behind the fridge and had to rescue it. That's a weak one. Well, fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsman ease traffic congestion to get you there quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. Show them some love online using hashtag #PointsmanLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Sunrail has reconstructed the R21 from Pomona Interchange to Olifantsfontein Interchange. This important corridor, carrying over 45,000 vehicles daily, is critical to supporting economic activity, and these upgrades ensure efficient connectivity to OR Tambo International Airport and major economic hubs. This 309 million rand project created jobs and supported local businesses. The work included full-depth mill and replace of asphalt base and surfacing on slow lanes, mill and replace of asphalt surfacing on fast lanes, ultra-thin friction course UTFC resurfacing over all lanes, replacement of bridge joints and resurfacing of ramps and crossroads to make travel smoother. Sunrail, an agency of the Department of Transport.
Prime Media, South Africa's most trusted media group, presents Prime Impact, a free 1-hour business seminar running daily at the Prime Media offices in Sandton from the 3rd to the 7th of November. Learn how radio and digital can reach your target market and grow your business with more customers. Every registered business receives a tailored demo ad and a simple campaign plan, plus access to event-only package opportunities. Seats are limited. Secure your spot now. Register at primeimpact.co.za. That's primeimpact.co.za.
Rent up, food up, electricity up, everything up, up, up. Except demos at Motor Select. This Friday and Saturday only, we're bringing prices down on demo models from leading brands. Trade your car in and get up to 100,000 Rand trade-in assist in our Demo Deal Dash. 2 days only. Visit SA's largest dealer network at motorselect.co.za to shop our demo range.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is hosted on African soil. A moment of solidarity, equality and sustainability. Africa, of course, is at the center. So, on Fridays between 6 and 9, we bring you the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, courtesy of RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 summit. The latest news, views, insights and breakthroughs. The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
18 after 7. It was a calling, was it not? They always refer to the teaching profession not just as a career or a job, but indeed a calling. So why are some teachers turning back on that calling? Mental health, a reason cited in a recent study coming out of Stellenbosch University, because many teachers say they simply can no longer cope. We have invited Dr. Helene Hofmeyer, who is a senior researcher at Stellenbosch University and one of the authors of the Teacher Preference and Job Satisfaction in South Africa report. Dr. Hofmeyer, very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast. Thanks for your time.
Hi, Bongani. Thanks for having me.
Teachers are turning back on their calling because of mental health issues?
That's true. Well, at least based on the findings of our study. So we did a survey nationally where we got about 1,500 responses from teachers. And half of them actually said that in the next 10 years, they're planning on leaving the profession. So this is what's kind of called early retirement in the policy documents. And, you know, while we don't have a nationally representative sample, so we can't say this is definitely 50% of teachers are going to leave, I think that finding really points to a deep problem that we have in the teaching profession, where teachers feel overworked, stressed, and in a lot of senses really like they are tasked with an impossible job.
Just give us a sense of what your research shows you in terms of what leads to these stresses and that feeling of burnout from our teachers.
Yeah, so our study kind of consisted of two parts. The first was a survey of 1,500 teachers, and that really was just aimed at understanding teacher job satisfaction and what makes certain, teachers move to certain provinces or certain schools. And there we weren't really concerned with identifying mental health issues. But then in the second part of our study, we did follow-up telephonic interviews with 80 teachers. And there it really became evident that we are sitting with a deeper problem than just, what's called job satisfaction. We're sitting with a real kind of mental health problem, which we highlight in our report. Some of the factors that we highlight in the report, one of them, I think, I spoke about the impossibility of a teacher's task. We have a system that allows learners to progress to the next grade without acquiring the mastery of the skills that are required in that grade. So many teachers told us, they're sitting in a situation where they're teaching a grade 8 class, for example, and their job is to teach maths.
Yeah.
But they're told many of the learners can't read. And so now they are forced to follow the curriculum, which is a very structured, it's called strong-paced curriculum, which they're called annual teaching plans. I encourage your listeners to go look them up because they're quite interesting. It will say today is week 3 of term 4 and it's day 4 and this is what you have to cover in your lesson today. But they're faced with a class of maybe the majority of learners are not at grade level. So it's this tension really of having to cover a curriculum while knowing that your learners are not at that level. And I think that causes a real sense of disengagement among teachers. I mean, anybody can imagine if you're whatever your job is, if you feel like you're not having an impact and what you're doing really is to some extent pointless because you're not having the effect that you really know that you're supposed to be having, I think that really demoralizes a lot of teachers. So that's the one aspect. But the second aspect that teachers spoke to us about in our interview, and this was really concerning, and I don't think it's acknowledged enough by our education department, but also broader society, is the trauma that learners are exposed to and that they enter school with. You know, children their brains respond to being exposed to trauma. Some research shows that by the age of 17, 4 in 10 children in South Africa have experienced a traumatic event. Now, the neuroscience is starting to show us that affects children's ability to learn. So I think we really need to start acknowledging the fact that our society is a traumatized one and the learners are experiencing that and they're coming to school with that. And our teacher training initiatives don't acknowledge that. You know, there are trauma-informed teaching strategies. One of the things that the teachers mentioned was this issue of they experience kind of oppositional behavior from learners, especially in high school. And it really creates this very unpleasant situation that sometimes goes over into violence, where there's just a conflict between learners and teachers, and it really speaks to kind of broader societal issues that learners are not, you know, it's not dealt with, and the teachers are the ones who end up having to deal with the outcomes of that in their classes, when really their jobs are supposed to be teaching, not being counselors or mental health professionals, which is not what they're trained for.
Or security guards. Dr. Helen Hofspeer, I appreciate your time. Senior researcher at Stellenbosch University. Just think about some of the things she's highlighting there. They're teaching kids. They have to stick to a rigid teaching plan when the kids don't have the basics for that plan. So you might as well be teaching Japanese in Ngayizivele High School, right? Imagine you just walk into a classroom full of Zulu speakers and you start speaking to them in Japanese. That's exactly what these teachers are faced with, quite apart from the violence between the learners themselves and violence to the teachers. And of course, these kids come into these classrooms full of traumas because of the society in which they live. Would you teach? If you're a teacher, I'd love to hear your perspective and what keeps you going when so many are now turning their back on the profession.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
If ever there was a relentless pursuit of justice, it is certainly the story and the courage of Lukhanyo Calata. Nearly 4 decades after one of apartheid's darkest chapters, the Cradock 4 inquest continues to unearth painful truths buried deep in South African history. Yesterday, the former apartheid spy, Craig Williamson, took to the stand, firmly rejecting as absurd and ludicrous the allegations made at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission by the late security branch officer, Lieutenant Jaap van Jaarsveld, who accused him of ordering the assassination of the Cradock 4, Matthew Goniwe and his comrades, the murders of Fort Calata, Stelo Mhlao, Sparrow Mkhonto and Matthew Goniwe, those 4 anti-apartheid activists who were abducted, tortured and burnt to death by the apartheid police. Perhaps it's a story we would have moved away from, but for the relentless quest for justice by the son of Fort Calata, Lukhanyo, who joins us now. Lukhanyo Calata, thank you so much for your time and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for having me.
You've been on this quest, this pursuit for justice to try and get some sense of what happened to your father. How difficult is it for you to sit through this testimony, and what has struck you about the proceedings so far?
Yeah, it hasn't really been difficult. Emotionally, of course, but I think we're more interested in finally getting a semblance of truth. So, we have to put on our big boy pants and go to court and be prepared to sit and listen to sometimes what we know is completely untrue. It's the last couple of days have been very good for us, Bongani, just simply because we've had someone like Craig Williamson come to testify. We've had someone like General Gerrit Erasmus come to give testimony. Today we will have Joffel van der Westhuizen, who was the one that ordered or dictated the military signal. This is the first time that these people are actually being held accountable for their roles, in the murders of the Craddock Four. So it's a tough week, but good week.
Is it wrong for me as just an observer to say I don't sense any contrition? I think these men are as unrepentant as they ever were. What's your feeling?
No, I agree with you 100%. And, their demeanor in court and what we're seeing playing out in court is really just a continuation of that sense of entitlement, sense of arrogance. And it is I suppose, one of the many ways in which the ANC government has failed us. Because had these matters been taken care of 20 years ago, these people would have been charged. They would have most likely been convicted of their crimes, and they would have spent some time in jail. But now they're in their late 70s, in their late 80s, and, they're basically just saying, I don't recall, I deny that, without a semblance of understanding what we have had to go through to get to this place that we are with them today. So there's no remorse from them, none whatsoever.
And all of this despite overwhelming historical evidence.
Indeed. And then we have to ask ourselves, if all of this information had been there right from the get-go, why were they not prosecuted? Why was Eric Taylor, the man who actually was denied amnesty by the TRC for the actual murder of my father, why was he never prosecuted? Why are some of these people that were part of the conspiracy, someone like Joffel van der Westhuizen, why was he never prosecuted?
Why do you think they weren't prosecuted?
Because the ANC had made a deal with these former apartheid generals and former National Party leaders that there won't be any prosecutions for the TRC-related murders, because that would then protect the ANC guys from being prosecuted for some of the crimes that they had committed. So there was an actual deal in place.
So your father and his comrades were the sacrificial lambs?
Basically, the ANC used my father and their sacrifice and sold them out. That's what they did, because by saying they were the sacrificial lambs, we kind of we gloss over it, we glaze it a little bit, when the reality was that the ANC sold out their sacrifice and they protected themselves at the expense of the people that actually paid the ultimate price for the that we enjoy today.
There's some nobility in the idea of a sacrifice, isn't there? This was a betrayal, straight and simple. Lukhanya Kalata, appreciate your time. Good luck to you. There's still more testimony to come. It's still a long road yet, and we'll catch up with you every now and again just to see how things are unfolding. The son there of Fort Kalata making it very clear that in his mind, his father and his comrades weren't just sacrificial lambs, they were sold out.
EWN Business.
Business news. This business report proudly sponsored by GIC. Through infrastructure-related projects, GIC set a better standard of living. GIC, changing lives. Right, let's talk famous brands, Muteo. This is the largest JSE-listed group in South Africa.
Yeah, no, that's the restaurant group that's listed on the JSE. Famous Brands says revenue grew to 4.2 billion rand, boosted by a stronger domestic demand. Operating profit nearly hitting 400 million rand. The company's restaurant network has grown to 3,008 outlets, with 53 new restaurants opened during the half year. The company says it's looking to introduce more chicken to its menus. They, of course, run restaurants like Debonon's Pizza, Steers, Wimpy, Mug and Bean, and Fisherways, amongst others. The company also has a signature portfolio of niche restaurants, casual brands like Tasha's, Turn and Tender, and Paul. Famous Brands remains cautiously optimistic for the rest of the financial year, citing lower inflation, stabilizing energy supply, and strong restaurant pipelines.
Spar gunning for the health market.
Yeah, retailer Spar is looking to challenge other pharmacy groups like Clicks. The South African retail group Spar is hitting the push button on expansion plans into the pharmaceutical retail market. Spar Health, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Spar Group, has received the nod from the Competition Commission to acquire Aptacor Group at the start of this month. Spar's pharmacy network, a pharmacy at Spar, currently includes 125 stores nationwide, and it now plans to reach 250 before the end of 2028.
Your indicators?
The rand at 17 rand 43 against the US dollar, 20 rand 22 cents against the euro, and at 23 rand 25 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,092 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,601 an ounce. Brent crude at $64.70 a barrel. More business after 8.
Change requires skill, an agile body to fill the gaps. But real change moves collaboratively, progressively, enabling, because it knows what to do and how to improve the lives of the deserving. Through infrastructure-related projects, GIC actively brings change for the better, because real change sets a standard of living, of being. GIC, changing lives.
Pay back the money. Pay back the money. Jacob Zuma has heard those words before. Swiss Zulu?
That's right, Bongani. They are back again with the DA saying that the High Court's order for former President Jacob Zuma to pay back nearly 29 million rand in legal fees demonstrates that no one is above the law. Zuma faced another legal defeat yesterday when the court determined that he's responsible for his legal costs in the arms deal corruption case. The state attorney had paid Zuma's legal bills despite the charges relating to his personal capacity. Zuma had argued in court that the corruption case happened at a time when he was deputy president and that the state was entitled to cover his legal bills. Alfara Mushwana reports.
The Gauteng High Court has ruled that in addition to the legal fees, former President Jacob Zuma must also pay the interest accumulated on his debt to the state. The court has also ruled that his pension is among the assets that can be attached to recover the 28.9 million rand. DA spokesperson Vele Okamp says the ruling further highlights Zuma's tendency to misuse public funds during his presidency.
We look forward to seeing Mr. Zuma repay what he owes to South Africa, starting with the first amount of 28.9 million rand plus interest thereon.
Zuma is expected to outline his next steps and share his response to the judgment at an MK Party media briefing in Durban this afternoon. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The Road Accident Fund has clarified that it will only compensate claims to families of 43 victims who died in a bus crash in Limpopo only on merit. The RAF says it needs to conduct investigations into each claim before any payments are made. It's denied reports that funds will be dispersed irrespective of immigration status. The bus, carrying mostly foreign nationals, was coming from the Eastern Cape, heading to Zimbabwe and Malawi earlier this month. Ndozo Kumalo reports.
Some reports claim the fund is legally obligated to compensate all victims involved in a road incident. RAF, however, says they need to be in compliance with the Immigration Act, which prohibits the aiding and abating of illegal foreigners. In 2022, the fund published a directive requiring foreign claimants to provide proof of legal status in South Africa. However, the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria declared the directive as unlawful in 2024. RAF says all payments of compensation must not contravene any other laws such as the Immigration Act. Ndozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
A man accused of killing 5 people in Bronkhorstspruit will make his first appearance in court today. The victims died when 2 gunmen stormed a tavern in Tobeni earlier this month and opened fire, leaving 5 other patrons critically injured. One of the suspects was arrested this week after police found him in the area where the shooting happened. He faces 5 counts of murder and 6 counts of attempted murder. Tanduluhle Ngobo reports.
According to police, 5 of the victims who were admitted to hospital have since been discharged, while the 6th is still receiving treatment. The October 5 incident that occurred at Qedugoma Tavern in Zitobeni sent shockwaves in the community and the country at large. Witnesses reported that two men known by locals entered the tavern and demanded that one of the patrons hand over his licensed firearm. They say a shot went off, and when the patrons ran outside, the suspects fired randomly, resulting in the deaths of 5 people and the injury of several others. Police are still on the hunt for the second suspect and are confident they will make an arrest soon. Thandol Hlengcobo, Eyewitness News.
And more than 600 people have fled one of Myanmar's most notorious scam centers and crossed into Thailand after a military raid on the compounds. The compounds where internet fraudsters target people with romance and business scams have thrived along Myanmar's loosely governed border during its civil war, which sparked by a 2021 coup. A highly publicized crackdown starting in February saw around 7,000 workers repatriated and Thailand enacting a cross-border internet blockade. But an AFP investigation this month revealed construction has continued rapidly while Starlink internet service receivers have been installed en masse, seeming to connect the hubs to Elon Musk's owned satellite network. Authorities say that they are working on determining if individuals are victims of human trafficking, and if not, they may be prosecuted for illegal border crossing. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 11 and 13 degrees, peaking at highs between 27 and 28.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is just as you approach Malibongo Drive. An accident reported there. The queuing traffic out of Bayesnodia Drive. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. This is due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route.
The top story this hour, the DA says the High Court's order for former President Jacob Zuma to pay back nearly 29 million rand in legal fees demonstrates that no one is above the law.
Clement Manyatela.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
How powerful Katie Molefe is. When you get arrested, helicopter hovering over your house, which is not part of the team that's come to arrest you. And then there's a Hawks team that comes to your house to question the police officers who are arresting you, and they're asking them, what are you doing? And then you've got the head of organized crimes who calls the detective who made the arrest and says, what you have done is not fine. Why are you arresting this chap like that? Shadrach Sibiya is not happy. Shadrach Sibiya is the Deputy National Police Commissioner. I mean, how powerful are you that when there's an arrest effected against you, all hell break loose? Hawks gets involved. The Deputy National Commissioner gets upset about something. The head of organized crimes is upset about that. And remember, Katie Molefe is now out on bail.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
It's time to hit the streets and show what you're made of. The Discovery Vitality Chicken Run, flavored by Nando's, is on Saturday, 8 November at 5 p.m. And this one's pure city magic, reimagined and revitalized through Josie, my Josie. So there's 5K for fun, 10K for bragging rights. You're not ready? Come on. You've sprinted for a taxi, dodged potholes, or climbed stairs when the power was out. You're trained, and it's easy to get there. It'll be via the Gautrain to Park Station, then a free Prasa train to Ellis Park. And I know many of us are lastminute.coms. Get your tickets now. Lace up and show up. Enter at racepass.com.
Sana, she said that till slip is like the N1 highway. It's long. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I got it. It's why I got the new discount battery rewards card that gets me 10% off instantly on over 140 brands. And then, does he not tell me over 140 brands means thousands of products? Exactly. That's why your discount till slip never look better. Inshallah, son.
What you're hearing isn't a traffic accident. It's not panic braking. It's our amazing car-stopping 40th birthday deals. For a limited time only, Auto & General is offering great savings with our 40th birthday Ruby deals. Celebrate with us by visiting autogen.co.za for great personal and business car insurance savings. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. Offer available for a limited time only.
In a world shaped by those who build, disrupt, and reimagine,
there comes a gathering not just of minds, but of futures. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank, is where top entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers converge. It's where the future of enterprise is redefined. On 5 and 6 November, you could be there. Stand a chance to win tickets to the South African Future Trust Summit on 702. WhatsApp the keyword SAFT with your name and ID number, telling us how you would benefit from attending the summit to 072-702-1702. Then catch 702 Drive with John Perlman to find out if you're a winner. The South African Future Trust Summit, in partnership with Standard Bank. Your summit, your way, on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
And all the 702 lane. Bongani, the issue of this student is so disheartening. It's so painful. And my question is, how many kids, how many students are facing this and suffering in silence? How many more? How many more? I think there must be an awareness to all schools, whether it's happening or it's not happening, that anyone found to be bullying or mistreating other kids will be dealt with. There must be awareness, because there is a lot. This is just a sign of what is happening in our schools. This is so sad. I'm so disheartened. I'm so broken by this.
An interesting interview, Bongani, but I think one of the big things missing here is parents. Your guest spoke about teachers and students and teachers and students, but parents are not encouraging their children to take school seriously, and they're not supporting their children. They're not ensuring that the children aren't truant. So I think we need to put a little bit more emphasis perhaps on parents.
Good morning, Bongani. This teacher conversation, it's really close to my heart, because my dad was a school principal, my grandfather was a principal as well, and both of them built their schools, their respective schools. And my dad left the profession after 41 years because of, he said to me that the kids have changed. There's no discipline. So yeah, I think that's a major factor.
Gosh, discipline, parents. We're assuming, of course, that all around South Africa, every child who goes to school comes from an adult-headed household. Forget parent-headed household, just adult-headed household. I mean, it's extraordinary what these teachers faced. I'm just going back to what Dr. Hofmeyer was saying, where teachers have this rigid teaching plan mapped up for every single day of the year. By term X, week X, lesson X, you must be here. But you're dealing with a class where the kids can't even read. Forget the subject, whether it's be maths or physical science or geography or whatever it may be. Forget the actual subject. They can't even read the language in which you are teaching that subject. So now you've got to help them understand. Where's the time? The classroom is overloaded. You've got, 60 kids in this classroom. They can't read. I said earlier, it's rather like walking into a classroom full of Zulu first language speakers and trying to teach them in Japanese. Right? I mean, that's really the kind of equivalence you can think of. And then these kids come with traumas and all sorts of things they've seen and heard and experienced and been victims of. Then there's bullying. Then there's violence between themselves and against the teachers. Again, I'd love to hear from those still in the profession. And I want to know what keeps you going.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. That's what's up for grabs. First, 1,000 Rand for an answer, and then 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question that leads to that answer. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. And today's answer comes from Bakang, who is in the northwest. Bakang, please give us today's answer.
Hi, Bongani. Today's answer is Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Ooh, that's a giveaway, Bakang. Hey? That's a giveaway. I tell you what, talking about giveaways, how about 1,000 Rand coming your way? All thanks to 702 and Outsurance. There you have it. Bakang says the answer is Game of Thrones. What, pray tell, might be the question. Call us on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
The wickets are falling, Cindy Paluta.
Yes.
Did you say Dracarys? Game of Thrones.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Didn't you?
No. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I watched.
I'll explain afterwards because now I'm going to give away too much.
Anyway, I watched season 1 and I was like, this is too much
Too
for
much.
me. I don't need this extra layer of anxiety in my life. And I was just like, no.
Okay.
Where's Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson just romantically loving each other? Like
10 ways to lose
10,
your...
10 yeah.
What was it?
How to lose a guy in 10 days. Like, let's just make life
Stick to
easy.
that.
Yeah,
Stick to that.
yeah. But the wickets, I mean, that's why I watch sport. It's definitely not full of anxiety and excitement.
Somebody said Dracarys.
So Simon Harmer has taken 3 wickets in the opening 28 minutes of the day. Babar for 50, Rizwan for 18, and then Noman Ali for a duck. That's 6 wickets this innings for him. And Shaheen was now run out by Rickleton. So Pakistan are now 119 for 8, a lead of only 48 over the Proteas. At the Women's Cricket World Cup, Australia, the only unbeaten side after thrashing England by 6 wickets. Aussies chased down 245 with Sutherland unbeaten, 104, Gardner's unbeaten on 98. Top the table ahead of Saturday's last group game with the Proteas. Banyana drew 1-1 with DR Congo in a Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Mlachokwana with the goal. Assistant coach Tina Mbuli.
We took time to realize that second half they changed their pressing setup. Instead of pressing with 1, it was like pressing with 2 or 3, and at times we couldn't come out from that press. We got results, which is a draw, and we got the most important away goal. So we have an opportunity to go back home tonight, and then we have 3 more days to prepare and then try to finish this at home.
Return leg is Tuesday in Johannesburg. Stellenbosch got only a second premiership win of the season. They beat Arrows 4-3 with 2 goals from De Jong. Orlando Pirates are up to third after beating Polokwane 1-0. Moremes scored in the 6th minute. Kaizer Chiefs goalless with Siwelele. Coach Cedric Kaze.
Every team has challenges when you play. We have to admit that right now our biggest challenge is scoring goals. But as well, everything is not negative because as well we are not leaking goals in the back. It's true that we are dropping points, and we don't want to let the other teams getting a big gap between us and.
Champions League, Liverpool ended a 4-match losing streak. They thrashed Frankfurt 5-1. Coach Arne Slot.
Yeah, we needed to win. And what we needed more is another performance where we've created a lot of chances, but that then also the players get the reward. Win for win. I saw a lot of similarities, by the way, today compared to our other games. The first chance they got was immediately a goal. So again, hardly conceded anything. But the main difference between this game and the 4 before was that in most of them, the other team scored a set piece. And now we were able to score 2 set pieces.
Chelsea cruised to a 5-1 win over Ajax. Bayern beat Bruges 4-0. Real Madrid got a 1-0 win over Juventus. Spurs goalless with Monaco. And according to Report newspaper, Springbok Jan Hendrik Wessels has been banned for 9 weeks, accused of groping Kodak's Josh Murphy during the Bulls URC match. This would rule him out of the Boks end-of-year tour, along with Makazola Mapimpi, who's banned for 5 weeks for a dangerous tackle on Ulster's Mike Lowry. Mapimpi was on coach Rassie Rasmus's standby list. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Hi. I need balloons.
Sure.
Now, my dog barked. Pretty sure he said potty.
Okay.
He was like...
At the Crazy Store, you'll find every excuse to celebrate.
Hi, me again. My houseplant survived another week. Where's your confetti?
And everything you need. Helium, gift wrap, dress up. And more. The Crazy Store. Hey, you never know what you might find. To have a good party.
29-year-old Tana saw the premium, did the maths, and she jumped on the Outsurance deal. She now pays only 796 Rand a month for her 2025 Jetor Dashing. And after just 1 call, 55-year-old Andre got an amazing premium of only 776 Rand a month on his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142 today. That's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Are you preparing food for a celebration, a summer snack board, canapes, or easy meals to feed a crowd? Then Pesto Princess has fresh pesto sauces, hummus, cooking sauces, and chimichurri sauce to make your day delicious. By the way, Pesto Princess is also celebrating 25 years in business this year. I'm the founder, Kathleen, and I want to thank you for your loyal support. Find us at Spar, Checkers, and Pick and Pay, or visit pesto.co.za.
EWN Traffic.
9 minutes before 8 o'clock, this EWN Traffic brought to you by the new Opel Grandland with smart tech and striking design. It's German engineering on a grand scale. Test drive one today at your nearest Opel dealer. Amo, lots of traffic in the capital.
That's correct, Bongani. Let's start with the N14 North, queuing traffic between Old Johannesburg Road and Euphus Road. Turn off Euphus Road in itself, heavily backed up towards the N14 exit. While traveling in Littleton, we've got an accident reported. This one is on Littleton Road, or Trichard Road rather. It is causing heavy delays just as you approach Water Avenue. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South, right at the Flying Saucer interchange. Roadworks are taking place there, causing those heavy delays. And there's also slow-moving traffic on the N4 West. This is just as you head towards the Proof Plus interchange. An accident is reported right near Tamboti Avenue, causing delays. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Don't ever settle for great. You know that great feeling after nailing a big presentation? Imagine upgrading that. I'm talking driving home with your car's massage seats, practically high-fiving your bum. Headlights so bright, you feel like the star your boss said you were. Arriving home, making an entrance, grander than your slide transitions. Go grand in the new Opel Grandland, designed and made in Germany. Visit opel.co.za for more.
Opel Grandland.
KwaZulu-Natal is South Africa's fastest growing business tourism hub, and the numbers prove it. Since 2020, business events have injected, listen to this, a staggering 1.8 billion rand into the province. So now we talk about MICE. You know what MICE stands for, Amo? Meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. That's what's driving inclusive growth, reaching even rural and township communities. With strong public-private partnerships, Africa's travel indaba secured through 2030, and now the Durban ICC being a World Trade Center, KZN is building momentum. It's not just hosting events, it's where Africa meets to do business.
Naked people are totally zen, because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time meditating. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
Andile here with more than just a horse betting ad. Bet on the horses at 10Bet and ride with a 20% free bet boost on your deposit. It's more than just a race. It's a 10Bet experience. Join now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line is 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance, please tell me what's the question if the answer is Game of Thrones. Thabo in Foslo, what's the question?
Morning, Bongani. The question is, which TV series did actress Amelia Clark star and also her birthday today?
Yes, indeed. She was, of course, Queen Daenerys in Game of Thrones, and what an incredible role, what an incredible performance. I think it's one of those where it'll always be difficult to see her being able to say anything else other than Dracarys. Remember, that's what she used to say to get the fire going. How about some Dracarys coming your way, Thabo? 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance and 702.
You could spend 10 minutes on social media or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 GWMP series, 54-year-old Amos now pays only 1,004 Rand a month. And for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser, 55-year-old Andre pays just 776 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Punches Challenge
Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for general practitioners, dentists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Kuveni.
It's so nice to know the business risk is taken care of by Business Outsurance. The call center was just a dream to deal with. Very seamless, easy experience, and it just feels like the people we're talking to on the other line understand our needs.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Kabazela, you're taking me back to 1999. That's when I got my license.
1999. Okay, I just matriculated.
Wow, you had to go there.
Driver's license.
Tell the story.
You get those who... Yeah, so, I mean, you get people who can drive pretty well even before they get their licenses, and then maybe those people who've just done a couple of tests, are still very nervous, get their license, and then they maybe not even drive for a couple of years because you've got to save up for a car or whatever it may be, and then when eventually you get behind the wheel, you are nervous and you are a wreck, right? And you maybe even keep the learner's sticker there at the back of your car. So this video we're talking about is a woman who, or a sister. She's standing on the side by her house at the driveway, waiting for her sister, who has just passed her driver's license, and she's filming it because it's quite a nice experience to film, right? So yeah, she comes down the road, and she then needs to make a right turn into the driveway. Now, first of all, she's in the wrong lane to make a right turn into the driveway. She's in the middle lane. She doesn't have her flicker on. She slows down. Well, let's put it this way. She slams on brakes, essentially, and then makes a right turn, misses the car in the inside lane. I don't know how. And then all the other cars behind her, you can hear like slamming on brakes. And then she casually makes the turn and pulls into the driveway. And the sister is like, oh my goodness. Oh no. And has a heart attack whilst watching and filming this. So let's talk about the first time, if you can remember that far back, when you passed your license, but now you've got the car, or you've got your mom or dad's car, if you were lucky enough, and they said, go ahead, have your freedom, go drive down the road, go visit granny or go visit whoever. And now you're in that car by yourself. Was it nerve-wracking, or were you the boss? Were you like, this is easy, I've got it, no problem at all? And can you remember maybe a close incident where you thought, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be?
All right, you were driving, you've just got your driver's license. How confident were you behind the wheel?
702.
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile Sambo,
Hey, Bongani.
was it easy to drive just after you got your driver's license?
Let's just say I'm a designated driver
Everywhere.
everywhere. So I'm not the most good or best driver, but when needed, I can step up.
I don't even want to know more. I don't even want to know more. What other feedback do you have?
702 lenders are reacting strongly after the public protector's report about possible irregularities into how Premier Panyaza Lesufi established and managed the Amapanyazas. Many are saying maybe, and they are calling for the Premier to be sued or even face criminal charges. And also on our social media, the question we asked on superheroes, there's been very, 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 very funny responses. Some people want to freeze time. There was one who wanted to bring back the dead, and others want the ability to teleport.
So what superpower would you want?
An extra to control time, so I have an extra hour of sleep in the morning every day when I have to come to work.
Wow.
That's all.
There are many people who would wish to have an incredible speaking voice, and that is Sifiso Zulu's superpower.
This is EWN.
Lesotho promises that the public purse won't be affected that much by the hiring of new traffic officers, and Fees Must Fall students reflect on the chaotic day at the union buildings where they fought for free education. Good morning. The Gauteng government says it expects minimal changes to its budget as it prepares to hire thousands of new traffic officers. Yesterday, Premier Amapanyaza announced the Wardens program will be disbanded over the next 36 months, with the 8,800 beneficiaries set to undergo training as Gauteng traffic police officers. The Wardens are currently employed on a temporary basis by the Gauteng government and are paid monthly stipends. But Gauteng Premier Amapanyaza says traffic police officers are employed permanently by the government on a higher salary scale and with added benefits.
The fortunate part is that when we established the wardens, because the intention was to absorb them permanently and the intention was to pay them a salary after their training, the budget remains the way we budgeted for. So even if they absorb them in the new role, it will not need additional budget because the cap of their salaries has been long determined and approved with Treasury.
Gauteng's Chief of Traffic of Police, Tami Maisela, explains the process to train the traffic officers.
Some will be in regional offices, some will be in specialized units doing specialized law enforcement, including the air wing. So we'll have sufficient space, including assisting the ill-equipped municipalities and local authorities, including other organs of state that might need our assistance.
Allegations of possible interference and deliberate delays of a ballistic report in the murder case of Vereniging engineer Armand Swart have been presented before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. This as the investigating officer in the case testified yesterday partially in camera with only her voice broadcast to conceal her identity over safety concerns. Witness B outlined how she felt the detective assigned to compile the ballistic report based at the Silverton lab in Pretoria omitted certain linkages to high-profile figures. This resulted in the ballistic evidence being sent to SAPS KZN Ballistic Lab for a second opinion. Oren Singh reports.
The team investigating the assassination of Vereniging engineer Armand Swart were allegedly told by the detective compiling the ballistics report that the weapons had linkages to high-profile figures and cases of cash in transits. However, when the team received the actual report, it contained nothing related to high-profile individuals or CITs, raising questions. Witness B told the Madlanga Commission that they raised their concerns around possible interference at the Silverton Ballistics Lab in Pretoria and were instructed to send the evidence to KZN's Ballistics Lab in Amanzimtoti for a second opinion. She claims when they attempted to get an original copy of the Silverton ballistics report from the system, it was deleted.
He gave us a date that it was deleted on the 6th of December. That's all he could tell us. He said, I can't tell you any further than that.
Controversial businessman Katiso Katie Molefe was arrested by the team on December 6th last year in connection with Swart's murder. Witness B will resume her testimony this morning. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
The mother of a grade 10 Milnerton High School pupil in Cape Town says she fears sending her son back to the school where he was assaulted by a group of older boys. A video of the attack, which has gone viral on social media, shows the 16-year-old beaten with a belt and a pipe and a large stick. 8 grade 11 pupils from the school have been suspended. Carlo Peterson reports.
The mother of the boy being assaulted in the video says she's still in disbelief about the incident. Speaking from Milnerton Police Station, where her son was making a statement yesterday, she lamented the school suspension of the alleged perpetrators.
I'm not happy with the suspension as well because the kids are going to go back to school. Our kids are not safely.
She says she's been deeply hurt by the experience and wants justice for her son.
I want the law to take its course. I just want the law to take its course because it's a serious case. They can't assault the kids. And they big boys, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds.
The boy's mother says she's also disappointed in the school for what she has described as a lack of communication on the matter. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And as today marks a decade since students from various universities gathered at the union buildings fighting for free education, some have remembered how what was meant to be a peaceful demonstration degenerated into violent chaos. In October 2015, fees must fall protests erupted in parts of the country, with students demanding free education and an end to rising university tuition fees. But some who were at the union buildings on the day that former President Jacob Zuma was meant to address the students have remembered the day as disastrous. Khomotso Modise spoke to some of them.
The 23rd of October 2015 was a day anticipated by students who'd spent months using protests and demonstrations to pressure President Jacob Zuma to yield to the demand of free education. Students had travelled from institutions across the country to be part of the historic event as Zuma was expected to address the large group. Simon Machete, who was studying at UNISA, was one of them.
Despite coming from different institutions, there was an element of unity. There was a sense of pride. There was a sense of dignity in what it is we were trying to achieve.
But what started as a peaceful demonstration fast became a scene of violent clashes between students and police. Amla Munaching, a student leader from the University of Pretoria, has recalled how the students responded.
Despite police shooting at us, we were able to reconvene and reinforce to go back.
While President Jacob Zuma did not address the crowd as expected, he announced from within the union buildings that there would not be an increase in tuition fees in 2016. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,090.94 an ounce. The rand is at 17.44 to the dollar, 23.26 to the pound, 20.22 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.27 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the N14 North. This is in the city of Tshwane. The delays are between Old Johannesburg Road and Euphus Road. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. An accident has been reported between these 2 points. Euphus Road in itself heavily backed up towards the N14 exit.
And in your sport, Harmer takes 3 wickets in the opening half hour as Pakistan are now 129 for 9, a lead of just 58 over the Proteas on day 4. A busy night in football which saw Banyana held to a draw in the Premiership, victory for Pirates and Stellenbosch, and in the Champions League, Liverpool got a much-needed win. And 2 Springbok players banned and will miss the end-of-year tour.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The Gauteng government says it expects minimal changes to its budget as it prepares to hire thousands of new traffic officers.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes after 8 o'clock, we're focusing on teachers in schooling. A new report is suggesting that many are burnt out, they're stressed, they're doing a lot more than they were supposed to. So what was once a calling about shaping young minds and the future of the nation is now a job where teachers have to be security guards, where teachers have to be counselors, where they have to be social workers, where they have to be mothers and fathers, with no support, with no additional backup and resources, a rigid teaching methodology and plan that is inflexible to deal with the realities in their classrooms. How do you teach grade 10s science or maths when many can't even read? How do you bridge that gap? Many are turning their backs on the profession. If you're a teacher, we want to hear from you.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Colin, you're in Centurion. You're a teacher?
Yes, Bongani, I'm not a teacher, but I've been in the industry for quite some time. But you mentioned the reality in the classroom. Now, the reality in the classroom is changed drastically. And that reality, I'm talking about the actual target audience, which is the learners. And the problem is that the system and the teachers have not adapted to the new target audience in the classroom, right? So that's where you get the frustration of the teachers, because I'm going to give you a simple example. A
Yeah.
learner leaves school on Friday, gets home, they now interacting with Wi-Fi, YouTube, Instagram. It's a fast-paced content environment where they learn things very quickly and easy. And then after Monday morning, they get to the classroom and the teacher now picks up a chalk or goes to the board. You've lost your target audience completely, because the teacher, and the system is not creative enough to say, how do we match the learning of this new animal in front of you? So that change, we as South Africa have far back. We just have to look at what's happening around, let's say, the north, like Finland and all these schools. They've got it. So that's one. The second part, Bongani, is that teachers are not looked after in a way, like, for example, if you look at their pay, right, and you break it down to what they get paid per hour, and then you look at the hours that they work, it does not make sense logically at all. If you look at an environment where you have an engineer and he says, okay, to do this part, I would need 50 hours, and they get paid for the 50 hours, but not teachers.
Yeah.
Teachers, they just get paid once and they just carry on. They expect to be there Saturdays and Sundays and so that is, I'm just identifying two problems.
All right, Colin, appreciate your participation in our conversation. Is it about teaching or entertaining the kids, though? Alison, you're a teacher. What's your view?
I'm a school principal, actually, Bongani, at
Even better.
School.
Sorry.
Is it better?
No, I said even better
Sorry,
that you're
Bongani.
I said even
I'm
better.
a school principal, yes. I'm at Bella Vista School, Bongani. It's a school in Melrose, and we have a huge professional development center where we mentor, coach, support, consult, train teachers nationally. This is an excellent topic for your show, because whether it's coming in the hard research or it's coming on the anecdotal record on the ground, we really do have teachers hamstrung to the point we've put together a program, a conference around why teachers can't teach, the barriers that are in front of them. And Bongani, it is everything from personal stress, personally managing the stress in an economy and in an environment like we're all living in today. And teachers aren't separate from the general experiences of life.
Tell me about your institution again, Alison.
It's Bella Vista School. We are a small school, a remedial school, but we have a very substantial professional development center called Bella Vista Share.
I'm sorry, Alison, the word is getting swallowed. Just tell me one more time.
Bella Vista Share.
Bella Vista.
Yes.
Bella Vista.
Bella Vista.
All right. You're saying it too quickly.
Bongani.
Bella Vista. What is she saying? Bella Vista.
Sorry.
All right. So, and you help mentor teachers, and teachers who need additional help might get in touch with you to get some assistance there. Nicola, now you're a social worker, but you've seen this movie before.
Hi, Bongani. Yeah, it's Nicola.
Go ahead,
Hello,
Nicola.
Bongani?
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so my version here is I'm a social auxiliary worker, right? 25 years sober, I started using drugs at the age of 11. So I'm actually a victim of these kids not getting professional help at school. So teachers, right now, what they're facing for me is that they're not just teaching, but if a kid come and say, ma'am, I was abused by my uncle or whatever the case might be, the teacher obviously is going to respond and think, I can help here and there. But no, that should not be the case. The case should be, I've got a referral letter here. I'll take you to room 13. The social auxiliary worker is there, or the child and youth care worker is there. You get what I'm saying? So they are carrying a double baggage here, and I mean, these kids I got the advantage now that I'm doing some work in schools, not the capacity that I want to do, because schools are so busy, their schedule is always tight and everything like that. I don't know why, but anyway. But I had the opportunity a month ago in Midrand, for example, grade 6, grade 7, and those kids were so advanced. They were so hungry just to connect. I said to them, guys, we're gonna have Q&As. At the end of the session, and I asked the teachers to leave, when we have trust me, those kids did the Q&As while we were in the session, and the teachers were present. They were not scared. And their problem is now they're already vaping and they're already doing occupipe and, they just...
Look, I hear you, Nicola. I hear you. Part of the challenge is the number of social workers that are available for these teachers to refer these kids to. There's no point in saying going to room 115 when there's no one there to deal with the child in front of you who clearly has present problems and challenges that must be faced and cannot be ignored. That's the difficulty many of these teachers face, but I hear your point.
EWN Traffic.
Up next, we'll tell you about the Legends Soiree. In the meantime, though, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand.
Bongani, some of the accidents we spoke about earlier have cleared, but traffic remains a bit slow, especially on the N12 West in the Benoni area. This is due to that earlier accident which was right near Atlas Road, causing those delays. While traveling on the N3 North, we still have got roadworks causing heavy traffic volumes between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange heading towards Tembisa or even the city of Tshwane. Please try to use the R21. Traveling in the city of Tshwane, we've got heavy delays on the N14 North due to an accident that happened right near Euphus Road. It is causing heavy traffic volumes, about a 20-minute hold up there. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. Already Euphus Road is also heavily backed up towards the N14 exit as a result. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for the microwave to beep or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 45142. Like 55-year-old Stefan, who now only pays an unbelievably low 611 Rand a month for his 2024 Suzuki Jimny. With Outsurance, you can drive with confidence. With up to a whopping 5 million Rand third-party liability cover that covers damage to the other person's vehicle in an accident, you can rest assured. SMS out to 45142. After switching, 55-year-old Andre now pays only 776 Rand a month for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser. Get a quote. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Can you confidently say that this wasn't an election campaign tactic?
It wasn't, and it will never be, because we recruited people even after elections. The problem is that our country in a grip of election every 2 years. So whatever that you do, you are damned. If you don't do it, you are damned. And out of the people that we are talking about, that people claim that they are not trained, go in the exhibit book or exhibit offices and check the guns that they've retrieved without them being armed. So this is the kind of work that they've done.
Amapanyaza Lesufi.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Don't just hear the roar, feel it live. DP World Lions are unleashing their legacy of champions in the explosive T20 Challenge, the pride of Jozi. The Lions are ready to pounce on Boerland in their season opener at the DP World Wanderers Stadium. Sunday, the 2nd of November, 2 p.m. You can feel the thrill of smashing sixes, stunning catches, nail-biting finishes. Get your tickets today at Ticket Pro or visit the DP World Lions website. Don't miss the action. Be part of the legacy.
There's strong, then there's AfriSem Strong. So champion the build with AfriSem Cement, the trusted A1 choice for builders who demand nothing less than superior quality. Crafted for exceptional strength, proven durability, and proudly produced in Mzansi. Because some builds just aren't strong. They're built to last with AfriSem, proud official sponsor to the Springboks.
Imagine if you could save time like you save money. A second here, a minute there. Type a little faster, walk a little faster. Or you could stop scrolling on the internet. Just think of all the hours you'll save. Now what if you could take all that time and invest it? Watch it grow. Until eventually, one day, you'd have so much time that you wouldn't know what to do with it all. But unfortunately, time doesn't work like that. It can't be stored or banked. And like money, you can't make it back. That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do whatever you want to do, even if it is scrolling on the internet. Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
21 after 8. Now, are you looking for a date night with a difference? Well, step into the vibrant world of Queer AF Legends Soiree, and it's hosted by the founder of House of Deetsy, a dazzling celebration of queer joy, resilience, and community care. So it's about film screenings, heartfelt conversations, raffles, and of course, a live auction donated by some of South Africa's legends. There'll also be live performances and electrifying DJ sets, and the unforgettable Khumutso Mutsunyane as the host of the function. All of those funds, of course, go towards supporting the House of Deetsy's groundbreaking programs for activists and LGBTQI plus communities. And we've got Bev on the line, the founder of the House of Deetsy, filmmaker and activist. Always a pleasure to chat you on the phone, on the show rather, I should say. Please explain to us, what is Queer AF, the Legends Soiree?
Good morning, Bongani. Good morning, everybody. And I'm really excited to be here. And thank you once again, Bongani. So the Legends Soiree is an evening of, it's a fundraiser, it's a Kickstarter for House of Deetsy, which was recently established. And the organization is my partner, who is also my wife, and I, combining the work that we've been doing in the community, especially for the queer community and leaders. And it's a healing organization. One of our programs, or the main core of our programs, is about healing. And so we are kickstarting this model where we are giving a lot of our programs for free to the community. And while we do that, we are using and asking the community to then feed back into the programs.
All right, tell me about the Legends Soiree. Tell me about the Legends Soiree.
The Legends Soiree is really about getting all the different incredible items from different legends within our community. So we have paintings, we have books, we have posters. I think the first Pride poster is on auction, and different legends within our community will be present and also part of the auction. So it's a celebration, it's a party, it is a fundraiser. It is about acknowledging us as a community in all our different ways.
And of course, Bev, you would have been at that first march all the way back in 1990. Can you believe how far queer rights have come, and I suppose the distance we still need to go?
Absolutely. I reflect back a lot from those first few months of organizing leading up to this first Pride, and what we were hoping for, what we have achieved. Look at us, we have a constitution that we can be proud of. This constitution needs protecting right now, Bongani, as we can see that there's a lot of our rights that are being eroded, and the right wing is strengthening itself in every sort of way. And so we need to be standing up and protecting ourselves in the best ways that we can. And we already have the groundwork to be able to do that. But also at the heart of what we want to do is make sure that we center healing, not just protest, not just fighting, but healing and joy. I think that's where I am in my later years of life, having been part of the warriors in the trenches.
How we mellow when we mature, hey, Bev?
Absolutely. Hey, look, life is long and sometimes a bit hard, so we do need to mellow a little bit.
One of the concepts that you are quite vocal about is this idea of narrative justice. What is that, and why is it so important?
I think, if you look at how history is written by the victors, and how if you do not actually find a way to, write our own selves into history, we find ourselves erased. That is an injustice, because I think now, I don't know if you are aware of what's going on right this second, where there's an attempt to erase some of those who were involved in the first Pride. And narrative justice is about us being able to take our narratives and make sure that our stories are heard, that it is clear that our stories are valid, because we then continue to be erased. A lot of what's going on is a narrative war. It is a cultural and narrative war where history continues to be distorted in order to serve a different kind of agenda. We're seeing it politically in the country, we're seeing it in queer politics, we're seeing it in women's politics, we're seeing it across the board by those people who want to entrench superiority and power. We're seeing it with capital, we're seeing it with race, we're seeing it across the board.
And I suppose that's why the Legend Soiree is going to be important as you auction some of that memorabilia so that these memories are tangible and accessible. Bev Ditsi, the founder of House of Ditsi, filmmaker and activist.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Let's talk now news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, Gaza, of course, continues to be front and center of many a news bulletin. And although there's a deal, the crisis continues.
It's interesting that an international peace monitoring force is now taking shape in Gaza. I don't think they're quite boots on the ground, but they're pretty close. And a number of countries have contributed. I know the UK has sent a small number of soldiers, but you also wonder what peace are they monitoring, because it's so fragile at the moment. And the boss of the World Health Organization has emphasized that fragility for the 2 million civilians who live in Gaza, still live there. As he put it, a health catastrophe that will last for generations to come. Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says a massive increase in aid is needed. He warns that this health catastrophe, it's not going away. I mean, we've heard about some of it, of course, in the last couple of years, but it's worse now in many ways. Given this ceasefire, there needs to be an instant addressing of these huge number of problems, and Dr. Ghebreyesus lists them as famine, overwhelming injuries, a collapsed healthcare system, outbreaks of disease, and the destruction of water and sanitation infrastructure, which is contributing to all of that. He makes some very good points, but who's listening? I guess that's the other thing.
Gosh, it was more than 100 years ago that the world's first big war was fought. Tell me about these 4 World War I soldiers.
Yeah, who were basically lost forever until 2020, when their remains were found during the construction of a hospital in Lens. And I do remember myself visiting the First World War battlefields and a farmer telling me that every day his tractor picks up material from the First World War. And when I went, it was exactly 100 years since the end of the First World War. Here we have 4 guys who were undetected. They were buried under the earth and mud, whether deliberately, where they fell, or just over time had become lost. Anyway, these guys, Arthur Cook, Robert Cullum, John Fraser, and William London, all from Grimsby in the northeast of England, all privates in the same regiment, all part of a Lewis gun team. They died in the Battle of Arras. Remarkably, war detectives, as they call themselves, have now been able to identify the 4 and track down living relatives, and they have now held the full military honours burial at the military cemetery in Luz in northern France. So they are now finally in their proper resting place.
Now, Adam, listen to this. That's a sound no longer heard just in the tropics.
Yeah, absolutely. Once upon a time, you'd have thought, where else? The mosquito has been spreading all the way through. I mean, name a country where they're not. Well, there were 2 until now. Iceland has got its first mosquitoes, or at least the mosquitoes have been discovered for the first time in Iceland. An Icelandic insect enthusiast, Bjorn Hjeltsen, I imagine he's a bit bored most of the time because it's a bit far-flung and frozen, isn't it, Iceland? Certainly for half the year. But he found mosquitoes when he was trying to observe some moths on some wine-soaked ropes. And instead of the moths, oh, hang on a moment, there are some mozzies. He saw them in Kjos, which is a glacial valley near Reykjavik. And you don't think of mosquitoes in glacial valleys, but that is global warming. Iceland has had its warmer year. It's one of its warmest years, a particularly warm spring earlier on this year. And so lo and behold, now Iceland has lost its status as being mosquito-free, which leaves only one zone on Earth that is officially mosquito-free. Can you name it? This is good for pub quizzes. I'm sure you'll thank me for this one day.
Greenland?
That's not a bad shout. Other end. Antarctica.
Of course.
That is the only Zone on Earth. And if in doubt, say Antarctica. Absolutely.
All right, Adam Gilchrist, we'll leave it there for this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
A final business update for the morning. Mateo Kharipe, Spar gunning for a bigger slice of the health retail market.
Yeah, retailer Spar is looking to challenge the likes of Clicks and Dis-Chem. The group's expansion plans into the pharmaceutical retail market are looking up. Spar Health has acquired Apticor, putting it on a path to double its stores in the next year. Apticor is a large-scale supplier serving pharmacies, hospitals and doctors across the Western and Northern Cape, as well as the Karoo. Now, Spar Health received the go-ahead from the Competition Commission to acquire Apticor Group. A Spar Pharmacy Network, the pharmacy at Spar, currently includes 125 stores nationwide. It now plans to reach 250 stores before the end of 2028. Now, according to Spar, the acquisition marks a major milestone in its national growth strategy, where it intends to double its pharmaceutical retail reach within the next 3 years.
Now, Mateo, where are we going to have our next breakfast show meeting? At Debonair's, Steers, Wimpy, Mug and Bean, Fisherways. Oh, Paul.
Yeah, and you footing the bill, eh? The largest JSE-listed restaurant group, Famous Brands, are reporting a 5.8% increase in operating profit to nearly 400 million rand. Famous Brands says revenue grew to 4.2 billion rand, boosted by a stronger domestic demand. The company's restaurant network has grown to 3,008 outlets, with 53 new restaurants opened during the half year. Now, the company says it's looking to introduce more chicken to its menus. It runs restaurants like Mug and Bean, Fisherways and Steers. The company also operates a signature portfolio of niche casual brands like Tasha's, Paul and Turn and Tender. Famous Brands remains cautiously optimistic for the rest of the financial year, citing lower inflation, stabilizing energy supply and a strong restaurant pipeline.
Where's the rand?
At 17 Rand 40, clawing back some gains against the US dollar this morning, 20 Rand 19 cents against the euro and 23 Rand 23 cents against the British pound. The price of gold up more than 0.5% at $4,130 an ounce, while platinum is up close to 3% at $1,607. Brent crude at $64.69 a barrel. Stephen Grootes taking care of business later this afternoon.
Time now for your latest Eyewitness News. Let's go straight to the news desk. Sfisa Zulu, what do you have at this hour?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. 2 more Road Accident Fund officials have testified about being sidelined and ultimately worked out of their finance jobs when Collins Letswalo was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer in 2020. They've told Parliament's inquiry investigating financial mismanagement that he populated his personal office with a number of specialists which took over their jobs. The pair believed that by disagreeing with a switch to an unsanctioned accounting standard that reduced the fund's liabilities eventually cost them their work. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
The one-time acting chief financial officer Victor Songelwa told the committee that Collins Letswalo decided to restructure the organization when he was appointed in 2020. Zongelwa said a parallel structure of at least 8 specialists was appointed in the CEO's office that took over the jobs of general managers who were eventually pushed out.
I was removed from the position of acting CFO, and one of the specialists, senior specialist finance, was made as an acting CFO. So indeed, this had an impact in the functions.
Senior Actuarial Manager Itai Charakupa testified about the appointment of an investment officer in Letswalo's office, which in his view was not needed, given that the fund is not expected to invest.
The acting chief investment officer at that time indicated that he didn't need the actuarial valuation reports.
Charakupa says he was eventually dismissed by the investment officer following disagreement over the value of claims. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Meanwhile, RAF has clarified that it will only compensate claims to families of 43 victims who died in a bus crash in Limpopo based on merit. The fund says it needs to conduct investigations into each claim before any payments are made. It's denied reports that funds will be dispersed irrespective of immigration status. The bus carrying mostly foreign nationals was coming from the Eastern Cape heading to Zimbabwe and Malawi earlier this week. Ntokozo Ndozo Kumalo reports.
Some reports claim the fund is legally obligated to compensate all victims involved in a road incident. RAF, however, says they need to be in compliance with the Immigration Act, which prohibits the aiding and abating of illegal foreigners. In 2022, the fund published a directive requiring foreign claimants to provide proof of legal status in South Africa. However, the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria declared the directive as unlawful in 2024. RAF says all payments of compensation must not contravene any other laws such as the Immigration Act. Ndozo Kumalo, Eyewitness News.
More than 140,000 matriculants in Gauteng are preparing to write their English Paper 3. Senior officials from the Education Department are this morning at Fort Secondary School in Dobsonville in Soweto to check if all things are in order. Provincial Chief Director of Examinations and Assessment Nadine Potter says it has taken them more than 2 years of preparations to get to the stage of the class of 2025.
So when the examination timetable kicked in on the 21st, we started the conduct phase of the examination. So much preparation has gone in. It's actually a 2-year cycle to get us to this point, to be able to deliver and make sure that there's a question paper on each candidate's desk the day that they are scheduled to write an examination paper.
And Cuba has arrested a suspected Chinese fentanyl kingpin who escaped from custody in Mexico and is also wanted by the U.S. The trafficker Shi Dongjiang, known by the alias Brother Wang, is alleged to have worked closely with Mexican drug cartels designated foreign terrorist organizations by Washington. It's not yet clear if the suspect will be deported from Cuba back to Mexico or a formal extradition process needs to be undertaken. Shi Dongjiang was held in a prison in Mexico City awaiting a hearing for his extradition to the US, where a warrant has been issued for his arrest on money laundering charges. He was granted house arrest from which he escaped in July. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on Euphus Road. That's in the city of Tshwane, and that's due to delays on the N14 North as well, due to an earlier accident. Please be on the lookout if you're driving along the street. If you're heading towards the Pretoria CBD, please try to use the N1 North instead. While traveling on the N1 South, we've got some delays towards Olifantsfontein Road, and that's due to peak time delays.
The top story, 2 more RAF officials have testified about being sidelined.
Naked people are totally zen because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time meditating and balancing their chakras. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds, and it's all online, so that means no long phone calls. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start meditating like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
The future of mobility is here, and it's powered by clean energy. Join business leaders, policymakers, and innovators at the NEV Summit 2025, taking place on 22 and 23 October. Together, we're driving Africa's green industrial revolution, building new industries, creating jobs, and positioning Gauteng as the hub of sustainable mobility. Visit evsummit2025.co.za to learn more. The NEV Summit 2025, driving Gauteng towards a green automotive economy.
Live extra with Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket. Save big on deals like Sir Fruit 100% fruit juice blend, 1.5 litres, any 2 for 89 Rand. Clover Butro full cream modified butter spread, 500 grams, 2 for 159 Rand. And Omo detergent capsules, 20 or 22 per pack, any 2 for 199 Rand. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongos and team. Sure, when I first started driving, the driving was okay, but I think the nerves were caused by not being familiar with the routes. I got lost a lot, especially on highways. I'd miss off ramps. And this other time I ended up in Kroonstad ways. I was going to 4 ways. Same in Alberton.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Antlia here in Sandton. I have an interesting story about how I learned to drive. I used to be picked up by my mom from school, which was in Waverley, and I had to drive all the way down Louis Botha Avenue, catch the M1 and down to Soweto, navigating taxis and all kinds of reckless drivers. And my mom's simple message was, if you want to learn how to drive, you do it on the roughest streets. As a consequence, when I finally got my first car, which was in 1998, and learned to drive on my own, I was super duper confident.
Morning, family. Hi, Clement. The first time, the south of Joburg, the uphills, Basonia, Winchester Hills, because I was like staying there with my then boyfriend. And then he's like, for you to drive, you need to go and drive there. He left me alone in those trees to come back home. The uphill, just going into this off ramp, I just forgot the name, just going back to Winchester Hills from Basonia. And then there were guys sitting next to on a van next door. Just like, take the gear down. Me, my gear is on 4. I want to do an uphill. I was so scared. I was so scared that eventually I got it right. And I started. Now I'm the Fast and Furious.
We're talking about your earliest memories of driving. Shortly after you got your driver's license, you're now on the road. You're on your own. The instructor isn't there. How confident were you? I remember driving my sister's City Golf. This was possibly 2 weeks, if not even less than that, after I got my driver's license. Now, she was in the car, and the gear was just a little stiff. You know how those VW City Golfs used to be a little stiff with the changing of the gear? I just remember once, go 3 now, Bongani, go 3. Is that 3? Because obviously I meant to go into the 3rd gear, but I'd put it, I think, in 5 or whatever it was. Was it even reverse? My goodness me. But I remember her going, go 3 now. Is that 3? I don't know.
So I was chatting to KG's dad yesterday. Who's KG? KG, start the clock. Oh, Cindy.
EWN Sport.
Listen, KG's dad will be pleased as punch with the performance of the Proteas today. I don't think we're going to see any play tomorrow, Cindy.
No, absolutely not, because I'll tell you why. Pakistan 138 all out on day 4 of the second test. So the Proteas are chasing 68 for victory. They're 31 without loss, so they're 37 runs away from victory. So unless there is a monumental collapse, which I highly doubt, then the Proteas are certain of a win in the second test. Earlier, Harmer took 6 wickets in the innings, of which 3 were in the opening half hour. Maharaj has taken 9 wickets in the match. Live ODI action. India 201 for 5 after 41 overs in the second ODI with Australia. Rohit Sharma has top scored with 73. Aussies lead the 3-match series 1-0. At the Women's Cricket World Cup today, Sri Lanka and New Zealand both need a win to keep alive their semi-final hopes. Yesterday, Australia thrashed England by 6 wickets to be the only unbeaten side at the tournament. It was a busy night of football. Banyana held 1-1 by DR Congo in their opening qualifier for the women's AFCON. The return leg is Tuesday in Johannesburg. In the Betway Premiership, Pirates beat Polokwane 1-0. Kaizer Chiefs goalless with Siwelele, while Stellenbosch beat Arrows 4-3 with 2 goals from De Jong for only their second win of the season. In the Champions League, Liverpool had to come from a goal down to get a 5-1 win over Frankfurt. Chelsea also with a 5-1 victory. They beat Ajax. Bayern beat Bruges 4-0. Real Madrid got a 1-0 win over Juventus. And according to reports, Springbok Jan-Hendrik Wessels has been banned for 9 weeks, accused of groping Connacht's Josh Murphy during the Bulls URC match, while Makazola Mapimpi's banned for 5 weeks for a dangerous tackle on Ulster's Mike Lowry. And All Blacks assistant coach Jason Holland will leave the team when his contract expires at the end of the year. The second member of head coach Scott Robertson's staff to leave since the new coaching regime was put in place at the start of the 2024 international season. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The milk steamer was loud. So loud that Lungi heard hot milk instead of oat milk. It was bad. So bad. The milk didn't really sit right with the lactose-intolerant customer. It was bad. So bad. Too bad they didn't have Yoko Counter. With Yoko Printer, orders flow straight to the barista. So good. Yoko Counter. Super simple POS and payments in one. No contracts, no hidden costs.
With cybersecurity threats increasing year on year, it is becoming more and more critical for businesses to proactively address potential threats. As the newly appointed Google Security Operations Distributor for Africa, DigiCloud Africa is bringing Google-level security, regardless of the underlying platform, to businesses in Africa. Our specialist partners can help your security teams become more efficient and give you the peace of mind you deserve. Contact info@digicloud.africa to scale your security without limits.
People are talking, everybody's talking, and they're saying it's time to make insurance great again. They said our low premiums were fake news. Wrong. We're putting customers first. We're gonna drain the insurance swamp. It's full of hidden fees. But when we clean it up, believe me, it's gonna be huge.
This message has absolutely nothing to do with the US government. It's paid for by the King of Insurance, who's making insurance great again. Get a quote now. It'll be the best decision people are saying ever. King Price is a licensed FSP. No fake news, just like our insurance.
EWN Traffic.
Time now for your latest Eyewitness News traffic as we wrap up the morning's traffic. Amo?
Well, Bongani, city of Tshwane, heavily backed up on the N14 North. This is between the Weirder Road and Euphus Road. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling along these areas. A major accident earlier reported there, and that's the reason for this long backup, causing about a 20-minute hold-up. And then Euphus Road in itself backed up towards the N14 while traveling on the N3 North in Calvin. Roadworks are causing delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North. This is between Malibongwe Drive and Rivonia Road. Peak time pressure there. There's also peak time delays on the M1 South between the Baklu interchange and Grayston Drive. More updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Ready to sell your vehicle? We Buy Cars goes above and beyond to make it simple, quick, and rewarding. Sell your car, bike, boat, or bakkie for a great price with instant payment. Trading in or buying next? Explore over 12,000 vehicles, plus get flexible finance and cover options at webuycars.co.za or at any branch. We Buy Cars, the best way to buy or sell.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity. A steady rhythm and pattern. Patients attended to on time. Medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders. We go there.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning, Bongani. If I could have a superpower, it would be to freeze time, to freeze people from aging. I would freeze my mother's age so that she can live as long as possible. Walter from Cape Town.
Good morning, Bongs. I would like to be able to see what happened in the past. So, imagine a crime scene. Somebody was assassinated. I would like to be able to get there and rewind a video. Basically have the ability to see what happened in a particular time in the past, yesterday, last week, last year, and see exactly what happened, see exactly the people who did it. I would like to be able to do that. Kaza from Midrand.
Hi, Uncle Bongani. I would love to have the power to change percentiles. For example, you could do, there's a 1,000% chance that when I look into my bank account, I will have more money than Elon Musk. Then boom, you have more money than Elon Musk. That's one of many ways that you could use the superpower. It's the best superpower.
Bongs. Mina mfana, if I were to have a superpower, it would have been to disappear. Just to disappear mfana and deal with the ANC. Ale phezulu ngehle nabo. Moses.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Well, Clement Manyatela coming up on your radio between 9 and 12. He's going to be hanging out with Kaya Mthethwa, the gospel singer, the winner of South African Pop Idols all those years ago, gospel artist extraordinaire, and he's going to be focusing a lot on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. So they'll be taking footage from there. And Clement just thought, must I come and say all of that? You saw him on YouTube. He is here, I promise. He's in the building. He's coming up between 9 and 12.
Feel the rhythm of summer at the Old Mutual Music in the Gardens, featuring Mikasa and Jazeel Brothers, live on Saturday, 25 October at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden. Experience soulful sounds, sunshine, and good vibes in one of Joburg's most beautiful settings. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. Proudly presented by Old Mutual, 702 and Breakout Events.
Trust is earned when it's put to the test. The certainty your data is safe. The knowledge that when threats evolve, you're ahead of them. Vodacom's cybersecurity protects what matters. From national networks to enterprise IP, your data stays secure and your people stay connected. Search Vodacom Business Security. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Mark your calendars for an unforgettable experience next month. Good Neighbors is set to light up the Nirox Sculpture Park at the Cradle of Humankind. It's happening on the 2nd of November. The idea is to celebrate African musicals and the rich cultural heritage they bring to our country. It's a vibrant festival. Emerging talents, acclaimed artists, everyone from Amadodana Asewisile. We have got Six Mabona, DJ Umlando, poetry. We've got, of course, the incomparable Loiso Gola keeping the day lively as the MC. But you'll have indigenous instruments, hypnotic rhythms, layered harmonies, bold, innovative interpretations of traditional sounds. And Loiso Gola joins us on the line from Johannesburg. Always exciting to chat to you, man. Why did you say yes to MC this gig, Good for Neighbors?
Hey, first of all, good morning. I don't know how you guys have this much energy at this hour, but I chose to do this gig because I just think Africans just view themselves different from each other, specifically South Africans. And anything that brings us closer as Africans, I'm on board.
Yeah, because we're going to have artists from Zim, from Rwanda, of course, quite a few from South Africa. Why does it matter so much that South Africans, and I would dare say black South Africans, are conscious, fully conscious of the linkages and our common history and indeed future?
Because we're neighbors, and for the most part, we need each other. And it would be silly for people not to see that or realize that, or that doesn't feature in their ideation. We need each other. We've always needed each other because all we got is us. That's my thinking. It's very important that we see each other as one of the same.
So how do you make all of this funny?
I mean, for me, it's not like I'm just the MC. As they would say, a program director. I'm keeping everything together. I'm excited about Amatotana Sewisile. I wish all my aunts and uncles and, folks were there. I mean, they're all over the country and stuff like that, but they love them dearly. And that'll be the one gig where during Christmas lunch, they'll be like, oh, my words, you met Amatotana Sewisile. And that'll be, a thing to chat about. But I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see other acts. I mean, I've been to Rwanda a bunch of times, and I want to see the act from Rwanda. I just want to experience, because there's also more stuff like food, fashion. We've got Soul Shoes, Boys of Soweto, Tepo Jeans, Melody Milinga, the Spaces of Botswana. Yeah, so there's a lot happening, and it all pertains to Africans doing cool stuff.
Look, I mean, it's going to be absolutely fantastic from what it sounds like, but I also, if you'll allow me, want to say that you do realize that you, on your own, as this established, amazing comedic legend, are a draw card yourself. And the reason I ask about how to make all of this funny, comedy, as you well know, often serves as a lens for society to reflect itself. So yes, you'll be observing all protocols, I suppose, or making sure there are. But ultimately, I would expect nothing less than some kind of social commentary in a comedic way from Loisokol.
Yes, I think, definitely. There will be definitely that. But I more than anything, it's like I'm there to keep the bands going. But I've also have because I've been to Rwanda, and it's a fascinating place. I don't know if you know that the people in Rwanda clean the streets like once every 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's once a month. That campaign
like once
happens.
Yeah, and I live in the city of Johannesburg, like the city, like the actual city, and I'm always like, yo, that's something we could learn from Rwanda. We don't, we could be like, yo, man. So I'm hoping that some of the things that I told because when I was in Rwanda, I was there, and they were expecting me to pick things up as well. I was like, I'm just visiting. You know what I mean? It's like if you're visiting my house, I don't expect you to do dishes, But I did want to bring this thing of cleaning the streets.
Yeah.
If you clean, we should, it should be like a cool cultural thing that we do as South Africans, because South Africa, for the most part, is pretty filthy. On the streets of South Africa, filthy.
Look, it's an interesting thing for somebody whose work is about satire and, I suppose, pointing out the absurd in reality, the idea of, being impressed by a dictatorship, or even, however benign you might say, although there are views that perhaps it's not so benign. How does that sit with you?
Hey, man, we have dysfunctioning democracies. So,
right.
So I don't know. I don't like sitting and bickering about systems that are dysfunctioning. But I'm neither here or there. I think whatever's working. China doesn't have a democracy. No one makes a fuss. A lot of countries don't have democracies, and no one really makes a fuss out of it. I think sometimes the word democracy gets weaponized to sort of get a control on countries that are deemed developing. I think we grossly overestimate democracy.
It's a fair thought. Interesting thought. Sunday, the 2nd of November, Loisokolo, I appreciate your time at the Nyrox Sculpture Park. This is in the cradle of humankind. You can get your tickets from their website, and that's www.nyroxarts.com. Of course, you can get early bird tickets at only $400 per adult. Otherwise, it's 500 Rand for general admission. This is the Good Neighbors 2025 Festival at Nyrox Sculpture Park.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
Hey, good morning, Bongani. Bongani, what I'm looking forward to is Cameron and Begicele. He's gonna face a man that he was telling the last time to shut up. That will be very interesting. Begicele is gonna bring a lot of drama. If you think you saw drama, you'll see it now. Sindile.
Yeah, of course, we're talking about the appearance of the former police minister at that ad hoc committee from Parliament looking into allegations of the infiltration of our police. Cameron versus Della, that's going to be a moment.
Good morning, Bongani and your team. I fully agree with you on the experience with Tokyo. I had a privilege of visiting Tokyo, and I went to, I think it's Shiburi. The discipline, the order is out of this world. I remember standing in by the traffic light where there was absolutely no car, zero car, but everybody stood until the robot turned green. I was like, wow, not in my country. That was so impressive. Thank you. It's Posh and Midrin.
Oh man, Sfisa Zulu asked the question. There was one city around the world that you could tell people to go visit. Which one would it be? And I think for me, Tokyo is certainly on my bucket list. And that's where we'll leave things for today. It's 9 o'clock and the Clement Manyatela Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The Gauteng government says it expects minimal changes to its budget. Thousands of new traffic officers. Yesterday, Premier Amapanyaza Lesufi announced the Wardens program will be disbanded over the next 36 months, with the 8,800 beneficiaries sent to or set to undergo training.